Hello, everyone, and welcome to. I guess we're just gonna call this "Chillin with Ace" because gimmick infringement and all that. But I'm Ace, the Swedish Ace, if you don't know me from the site. And with me today, first guest, Crann.
Yo,
So I've been wanting to do this for a while, and I've always wanted you as the first guest for this. So thank you for coming out tonight, Cran.
well, thanks a lot, man. It's an honor.
Now, the reason why I picked Cran first is because I'm actually the one who brought Cran into the UWF, so it makes sense for me to bring in my own guy for my own podcast and just start off, just all about me. 100% all in.
Yeah, I'm a Swede guy. It's like being a Heyman guy, you know? It's the same sort of thing.
Well, you see, Chase had a Foch, so I get Cran, so, I think that's a fair trade off.
Well, now, man, you got to be careful. You're inflating my ego here.
Yeah, but I'm more trying to deflate Foch's ego, so, that's what I'm trying to go for with that. So, Cran, we go years back at this point. At least three, maybe four?
I feel like
Maybe
it might be
four.
four,
I
yeah.
think it's four. Yeah, I think it's four. So do you want to talk about how we first met?
Oh man. So yeah, I kind of stumbled on a Fed that was played out through an Xbox 360 game. I can't remember which WWE game,
I
but
think it was 2K14. That's why I think it was 4 years. Because I
yeah,
think we were in the late part of 2K14.
that sounds right. Yeah, because I sort of fell off the Fed. Yeah, it was the late part of 2K14 because 2K15 was coming out, and that's one of the reasons why I left that Fed behind because a lot of the guys wanted to like play on 2K15, and it was like I'm too cheap to buy another
and
game.
and 2K14 was on 360. We were using the 360 version, and 2K15 was going to release on both. So there was a lot of debate on whether we're going to stay 360 2K15 or if we're going to go to like PS4 or Xbox One. It was like a whole thing.
Right, I
Um,
remember that. Yeah.
do you remember the name of that Fed? I just want
Uh,
to hear you say it out loud if you remember.
I think the acronym was PWL. I think,
Yep,
but I could be
yep.
wrong. What was
It
it
was
like Pro
PWL.
Wrestling League or something like that?
It was the Professional Wrestling League.
Yeah,
It
that
was
was
the
it.
most generic name possible. We made fun of it every
We
day.
did.
So so as Cran said, it was a hybrid league. You would promo for your bookings, and that would determine where you fell on the card, but the matches were played out in the game. So you would have people like myself and Cran who I'm just gonna come out and say it, we were the best writers on the site, but we were garbage in the game, so we would get main event style matches and then lose.
Horribly lose all the time.
Horribly lose. I don't think you won a single match.
I didn't. I actually made a gimmick
Oh,
out
did
of
you?
how often I
Oh
lost.
yeah. You lost every single match. We'll talk about your character in a little bit, but we'll talk about the fact that at one point we were just given control of the whole site
Yeah.
because the owner left, but he made us staff, so we're like, let's keep going.
Yep.
So I actually have the banner up on the screen right now, and it's did you make this? I think you made this banner because it
Um,
has the authority figures, and I think
no comment.
so. This was you. It's not a bad banner. The font's a little iffy, but like it's just there's so much going on. And you'll notice the three authority figures in the background. Laurinaitis, I think you played Laurinaitis. I
Johnny
didn't.
Ace.
Johnny
Yeah.
Ace
Um,
and Bischoff.
I was playing Bischoff, I think.
I know for sure you were Bischoff. I forget who was Laurinaitis. I think he might have just been like a silent partner, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, I think that's what it was.
And then I was Piper. So you were face Bischoff and I was heel Piper. So we could like yell at the faces and heels. Like we had that dynamic going, which isn't a bad idea to have one of each, so that like if you wanted to make a baby face go over, you have Piper berate him. If you wanted to have a heel be a heel, you have Bischoff go after him. Things of that nature. Like it wasn't a bad split, but we definitely picked some interesting people for each dynamic.
For sure.
Oh man. I'm looking at the banner. We got Ambrose. The Ambrose on that site, I remember him from my first Fed, was actually a really good writer too. I wish he would have made the jump to UWF. He might have, but I forget what his name would have been if he was over on UWF. He was a lot of fun. I worked with him pretty much exclusively throughout the whole PWL Lifeline. I don't remember who Seth Rollins was. We also had Bray Wyatt, who I don't remember. You were playing Jericho at that point because you dropped your created character for Jericho.
Yeah. Yeah.
Talk a little bit about your created character and that little storyline, because that's a lot of fun. That's something I bring up every so often as something I want to do.
So I started as like this high roller, no scruples or like ethics, Wall Street rich boy named Matt Wall, because I'm super creative with my names. And yeah, the whole idea was like he's coming in, he's this big shot, he's got all this money, he's just gonna throw it around, kind of a Ted DiBiase type, very heelish. But because I never won matches, I had to adjust the gimmick a little bit.
You very quickly had to realize, like, oh, I can't just buy wins here. Now I got to figure out where to take this guy, and you went somewhere I was not expecting.
Yeah, I decided to have him snap because he kept losing matches. So I changed him to the Wall Street Warrior and went with
you
weird
painted his face.
Yeah, like deep hunter green, like face paint that was kind of like Ultimate Warrior.
See, here's the thing. I never faced you, so I never got to see any iteration of Matt Wall because we never played matches against each other. So I like knew the descriptions from what you wrote, but I never saw the character ever.
It was something, man. It was something. The model for the Wall Street Warrior was like, the original model was kind of a more muscular, not like super buff, but fairly like CrossFit kind of guy, right?
Yeah. So like a Seth Rollins, like Finn Balor style.
Yeah. And then for Warrior, I had him just like almost look completely coked out. Like he was still rail thin, but he was like
a little dust under the nose, because that would have sold it.
Oh, I wish.
White dust under the nose. Oh man, you could probably do that in the current games now. You could probably do that, just a little spray paint under the nose. Oh man.
But yeah,
go ahead.
The implication was very much that this is just a character who's gone completely off the fucking rails and is doing rails, apparently.
In the back.
Yeah.
With Macho Man, because the Macho Man that we had was also completely off the rails.
We had a lot of weird ass fucking characters.
We did. We had a character called Ugly Fat Fuck who was a jobber.
Yeah.
That was a good one. I remember that one. I periodically look at this website every so often to try to get some inspiration for some promos. Actually, going back to the website is where I got the inspiration to bring in Regal, because I was like, man, I had a Piper. Was my Piper good? I went back and reread it. I was like, man, this is good, but it's not a good Piper. This is a good Regal. So then I did a Regal promo. I was like, I like this. I'm going to go with this.
Yeah, man. That was wild times for sure.
And it's also where Owen, my Owen Hart, who you see at the banner, that's where I developed him probably the most, until like my second UWF run with him. This is probably where I got the most character development for him as well, because I had busted him out in a different Fed before this one that led into the PWL, and this is where I was really hitting my stride with him. and was getting some of the little typing quirks that you see with like the random capitalization, and I got the color scheme down, and
Yeah.
like really getting into that whole insane persona with him. I won the world title in this Fed somehow because it was a ladder match. Don't have to pin people in a ladder match. It was me, Ambrose, and Macho Man, and I remember because with the with the matches as well, sometimes he would write up a little promo afterwards to like describe to people like a big spot that happened or to give people storylines moving forward. And I remember at one point, the finish of the match was Macho Man was going up the ladder to get the briefcase. I think Ambrose was on the outside. I roll into the ring because I was just being the most cowardly heel during this match. I was just outside as much as possible. I roll in the ring, push the ladder over. Macho Man falls to the outside, hits the stairs on the outside. It looked brutal. Like his head like smacked, like because we were using the stairs at one point, I think, and like they were upright, and so his head just like smacked through it, and like the game glitched out. We're like, oh, that was bad. So we actually wrote that into the post match thing to write off the Macho Man character as well, which was a nice little touch. And yeah, I won the world title, and the Fed folded before we got to the second pay per view, so I never lost it.
Yeah.
So I'm on a 5-year world title reign. I'll accept all your accolades as they come. No, but that was as awful as it was also a lot of fun because I got to work alongside you a lot, and it was the first time we worked together. And until the UWF with the Triple H Bryan feud, it was the last time we actually worked together.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, we did have a few like feuds, but one or the other of us was never like fully able to invest in it.
Yeah, like we had when you first came to UWF, because I brought you to UWF from PWF. I was like, man, you're losing a lot over here because of the game aspect. I can feel that. You're a great writer. You would thrive over at this place called the UWF. So I brought you into UWF. I was playing Edge and Christian at the time because I had really just been there for like a couple months. You came in as Lashley. Your debut match was against me. You beat me with your Lashley, which was awesome. You brought in Victoria as a mouthpiece for her, and you just like you floored me with that first match, and I was like, awesome. This guy's he's gonna go places. I was waiting for that Lashley World Title run, and it came after I left.
Yeah, they made me wait for that one, man.
Yeah, and then we would have matches here and there. Like we sort of tried to get a feud going between my Owen Hart and your Drew Galloway on SmackDown. I think you had the U.S. title, or you had just lost it, or were about to win it. One of those three.
Yeah,
It was right around your U.S. title reign as Galloway.
yeah, it was just before I won it because
Okay.
yeah, right after you, I was booked in the match. I can't remember if it was with Drez's Stone Cold that I won it off of or someone else, and then I lost it to Drez's Stone Cold. But
Was it a contendership match then between us?
yeah, I think it was. I'm
Okay,
pretty sure it
okay.
was.
Yeah. I remember that because, like, yeah. Because my Owen won it. He didn't want to win championships to be a champion. He wanted to win championships so people would go after him and then he could beat them up.
Yeah.
That was his gimmick, was he didn't want to be a champion to be a champion. He wanted to be a champion because you want to be a champion. You'll come to me. You'll
Yeah.
step into my world and then I will kill you. I'm not going to mince words. That was his gimmick.
That was 100% the gimmick on SmackDown. I remember that.
It's just the gimmick everywhere with him. It's just like,
True.
you come to me and I will beat you up. The end.
Yeah, true. He takes a lot of satisfaction in hurting people.
Yeah. And those are my favorite. Like, it's gonna sound sadistic. I love writing like beatdowns, and like I hate violence, but I can write a great beatdown. I think because my best strength is the fact that the things that I don't like, I'm really good at writing because I don't like them and I know what I would fix. Like I hate beatdowns, I hate brawls on TV because I'm like, they don't connect with me on that right level, and I'm like, man, they should have done this, or they should do that, or they should bring this person in. And then when I write a brawl, I'm able to like focus on those moments and like make it chain and flow better, so it's like, yeah, it has the desired effect. Too much time there's like beat down, and then like the babyface starts fighting back, and he gets beat down again, and then it's like over. I'm like, oh, okay, it's the same as the one you did last week and the one you did the week before. Like, let's do something different. Let's do a spot, like something memorable. Like Braun Strowman, Roman Reigns backstage, amazing beatdown because the stretcher flip was memorable.
Yeah.
And they sort of took that gimmick and started running with it, and now it's become sort of like the norm with Strowman, which is a little bit annoying, but it's also good because they're still doing unique stuff with it. It's not like he's flipping stretchers every single week. You know, he's using the grappling hook or throwing the entire announce table on people. Like they're escalating it properly, which is a good thing to see with that. Is like to be able to see something right it normally and then add something that stands it out from the crowd.
Yeah, it gives it that unique flair.
And that's why like writing matches is difficult for me now because I always try to give each match that unique thing, and like if I'm not feeling it, I'm not feeling it, and I'm not gonna feel like I'm putting out the right effort. Like I wrote a tag match on the old UWF. The first match I ever wrote was probably one of the most proud of matches I wrote. Was between Sandal's Witnesses. I think it was Sandal and Richards versus the Varsity Squad. So Raw's Ray played Damian Sandow with a stable of his witnesses, quote unquote. It was Stevie Richards and Kane. And then Chase was playing the Varsity Squad, which was Alex Riley and Kenny King, managed by Kurt Angle. And this was in the lead up to SummerSlam, where Angle, Kane, Daniel Bryan, and Dean Ambrose, Daniel Bryan played by Hoove, and Dean Ambrose played by Bumout, aka Danny, were all feuding for the 2 world titles on Raw. So they were having a tag match, and I was given like the instruction, like, hey, make sure there's a brawl outside between like Kane and Kurt Angle. So I was like, okay, so I'm gonna write the tag match, and then I'm gonna get to the brawl portion. So like I came up with my tag match spots. I was like, I want to do like a monkey flip leg drop. So I did a monkey flip leg drop. I was like, all right, tag match is pretty much done. I write up all the rest. I have my tag match spot. Cool. I'm like, what's my spot for Angle and Kane? So I was like, belly to belly suplex over the stairs into the barricade or something like that. So I was like, boom, there's my spot. Like I come up with one spot. I'm like, how do I get to this? And like, if I can't figure out that chain, if like I'm not writing for 2 wrestlers that I feel comfortable with, I can't like get to that spot, and I can't get to the rest of the match.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, I envy someone like you who just like writes and can do awesome matches each week. I'm like, man, I don't know either of these 2 guys. How am I gonna write a match? And then you're just like cranking one out. It's like, oh, sweet, that's how.
You want to know the secret, man?
What's the secret? Let's get these hot scoops.
For me, I watch like a solid half hour or 45 minutes of top move videos.
Oh my god,
for
I do the
all
same
the wrestlers
thing.
in the match.
I do the same thing.
And then
I like that one. I'll pick one at the beginning of the list. Because usually by the end, it's like they're more famous ones. I'll pick ones at like the beginning of the list where it's like moves that are awesome that they barely bust out. Like, you'll see one for Cena and it'll be like some weird like exploder suplex maybe. And it's like, wow, I've never seen him do that. I'm going to write that in the match.
Yeah, exactly. I watch those. Sometimes I'll like directly plagiarize a spot from one of those videos, but like just change the players, right? So it'll be like,
yeah,
the guy executing the move, but the victim is different, obviously.
Yeah. Okay. No, I like that.
Or sometimes it'll just be like, okay, well now I'm at least familiar with like what's in this guy's wheelhouse as far as a moveset, right? Like if he's gonna bust out a German suplex and a Northern Lights suplex,
you know, you
then I can
sure
use
that they've
plexes.
done suplexes, yeah. Like, you know, if you see like you're not going to be doing Cesaro doing like Phoenix splashes unless you watch a video. It's like, oh, look at Cesaro doing this like shooting star press.
Exactly.
You know? No, that's pretty standard for how I write matches though. Like I pull up those videos, I watch them a couple times, and I'm like, oh, I like this and I like this. Now I need to get to here, and like that's sort of where I like to be. Like if you look at my matches are more similar to Sami Zayn versus Shinsuke during Shinsuke's debut, where like not much happens. Really, not much happens in that match. If you watch it, start counting the moves, you're not going to get to too many. There's not actually much wrestling that happens there, but it all flows. It's all connected. There's a story and there's hype around it, and like it all just boils together into that match.
Yeah.
And those are the sort of matches that I write. Is like, I want from point A to point B to be a smooth ride. You know, if there's like 6 spots that happen in between, cool. Like, I don't want to be writing down like, and then he punches him down in the corner like 10 times in a match. It's like, we get it. Do something else.
Yeah. Yeah.
So like that's, you know, that's my mentality with it. But everyone's different, and that's what I love about this current iteration of the UWF is like there's so much talent here.
Oh, 100%. This is probably like I'm not gonna mince words. This is probably the deepest sort of roster I think the UWF has ever had.
Oh, for sure.
Like, I mean, we've got veterans who are like the best that the Fed has had. Like, you know, Foch. He's not. I mean, he's not playing his Steen anymore. But
Oh
like,
god,
he's
his Steen is unstoppable.
Yeah.
Let's not mince words. His Steen is unstoppable when he's on, and he's been on.
yeah. Like, I mean, the guy. He's the longest reigning world champion in the history of the Fed for a reason. Like, he has the most world title defenses on one character in one run for a reason, because he's like insanely good on that character. And I'm looking
yeah.
forward to what he does
And
with Sweeney too.
Oh, so am I. Because like, that's the thing with Foch is like when I came on, he was playing Miz and Morrison, and I knocked my headset out, so I can't hear you. I'm good. He was playing Miz and Morrison on Raw, and they were a comedic tag team of all comedic tag teams. Like, they were fourth wall breaking, irreverent. Like, they just were. They basically said whatever Foch had on his mind at the time, which is usually jokes. If you see them in the Discord chat, it's usually something funny. And then on SmackDown, he had the TIOC, the Tire Iron Original Crew, I think it was.
Yeah.
I'm butchering that, yeah. Which had a rotating cast. At the time that I came on, it was Callahan and I think Steen.
Yeah, he had Callahan and Steen, and then Callahan got taken out by the cartel.
Callahan got murdered.
Yeah.
That's not mince words. Phocius had 2 characters die on him.
Yeah. And then
3,
he brought Zayn in,
3.
I think.
No, Steen died at one point too.
Steen has died twice, yeah. Because Steen at one point, if I remember correctly...
He drowned in the middle of a match
Yeah.
against Ambrose.
Yeah. In the Ambrose feud, he drowned in like a fucking fish tank or something,
What,
and was resuscitated.
Or am I thinking of a different match?
It might have had piranhas. Wasn't
There was
that
a
like
match
the
that had
second
piranhas.
House of Nat Labs or something like
Might
that?
have. Then that wasn't the Ambrose match. That was another Steam match.
Oh
That
my
involved
God.
piranhas.
All I know is, yes, Steen has died twice in
now.
UWF history.
And if you don't think he's dead now, you're a liar. He's dead. That's why Larry Suidy's here. But like, so you had this like stark contrast between those two. You had like pure comedy and like pure like violence on the other hand. And then like Steen came in and he wasn't like he wasn't like the middle ground. He was still full like focused on like the violent side, but it was more like level-headed violence, just like, you know, whatever has to be done sort of violence. It wasn't like, we're going to go out here and we're going to change some things. It was like, I'm the best. Prove me wrong.
Yeah.
And if I have to, you know, powerbomb you through a cage, I got to powerbomb you through a cage. Or whatever he did to Nash at Mania when he came back. Or maybe not Nash, Ryback. He did something.
It was
They had, like,
Nash.
a cage match.
Yeah, it was like a triple layer cage match or something.
Yeah, they wasted a triple cage match on like, what, 2 no-shows?
Yeah.
Maybe?
Yeah, and Ryback
Funny how
and
that
Nash
happens.
were like brawling on the top cage, and then Steen shows up and like climbs all the way up the cage while they're brawling, and like I think he packaged power bombed Nash through like all 3 cages, and they just killed off STP's Nash.
Yeah. Man, Kill as Ryback was awesome. For
Yeah.
a character like Ryback, Kill as Ryback was awesome. Because he played them as he played Ryback as a comedic tag team, and then transitioned to Ryback winning the Royal Rumble.
Yeah.
Because he was the sole winner of the Royal Rumble. Revisionist history, I declare it to be true.
Well, he was definitely the deserving winner.
He was the deserving
that
winner.
year.
He was killing it with Ryback at the time.
Yeah, I was fucking steamrolled by him on his way up the card.
Yeah.
While I was languishing in the mid card on Lashley at the time.
It's funny. I wrote that tag. I wrote a tag match between. I think I wrote a SummerSlam tag match between Miz and Morrison, who are the defending champions, against Rybaxel, and Miz and Morrison won, and I had to like keep Rybaxel looking strong. Like I think that was like, because here's the thing for those of you who haven't written matches before. Typically, you'll be given the match, you'll be given the winner, and you might be given some special instruction like, hey, make it a dusty finish to keep the feud going, or so this guy still looks strong. Like depending on how close the thread was. Like if you're given a 1-0 match, you'll be told you might not be told make it a squash, but like make it one-sided.
Yeah.
So like I was given the instruction like make it so there's a reason that they could have another match. I think was like the instruction. So I did like the whole Axel got pinned but his feet were under the rope and the ref didn't see it.
Yeah.
So I did that thing, and then all of a sudden he like drops Ryback. So like, well, that was pointless if I did it that way. And then his Ryback went on a tear. I was like, oh no, it's not pointless anymore. It all makes sense.
Yeah. Killa, that was a really memorable run from Killa. It's unfortunate that it ended with the no-show because like I don't know.
STP's Nash was really good too. I can't take anything away from that, but I think if they had gone a 3-3 threat at Mania, politics aside, I think Killa would have won that.
Oh, he had all of the momentum behind his character.
He had so much momentum.
He
had so much character to still build on from that. Like SCP's Nash was pretty much like plateaued. Like he had a little bit more peaks that he could have gone to, but he was like he was consistent. Like I'm not saying he plateaued as it's a bad thing. Like he got to the top of where he could be with that character, and like that was where he was.
Yeah.
Kind of like Focious Steen. Like Focious Steen would go up. Like it was a slightly upwards plateau, but like Foch hit his stride and that was it. And it was like catch up.
Yeah.
Now here's a question for you.
Okay.
Take Foch's title run from the old UWF, the international title run. Can he do that, like that same run, that long, against the people in the current UWF?
Oh boy. See, here's the thing, right? When you look at the quality of the guys that Foch was beating during that run, he was beating
top quality guys.
Top quality guys, yeah. I mean, granted, there were a couple fillers in there. I mean,
Jimmy Uso.
Okay. Yeah, Jimmy Uso was a little bit of a filler. That was like we're going to give this guy a world title opportunity because he's been working so hard. And he shows up every week, and even though he loses like 90% of his matches, whatever.
Yeah.
And we also needed to bridge a gap because I think that was the G1 finale.
And everyone else was in the G1.
Yeah.
So he had no main eventers.
Yeah. So Danny was
all of his main eventers in the G1.
Exactly. So Danny was like, okay, so we need a guy to challenge for the world title while the G1 was going on. And I mean, Jimmy, if he had shocked the world and shown up and delivered like
if at any point Jimmy was gonna Andy Kaufman us,
yeah,
and be like, it was all a bit, that was the time. And I was like, this is it. It's finally gonna happen.
Yeah.
He waited through tag title matches. He waited through intercontinental matches. He was biding his time for a world match, and he was just gonna come out and be like, hello, yes, I am Jimmy Uso, and I'm going to kick your teeth in.
Exactly.
And I was ready for it. It didn't happen. And like I was a little disappointed that he wasn't just like playing the longest con.
I would have died of laughter.
Oh man,
his first CT was like.
It would have been so deserved though. I would have been like, you did it. Oh man.
But yeah, like he had top quality guys. Get back to the answer, right? That were going up against him. I mean, he was fending off like fucking Albo Spike, who was
oh my god
incredible.
Came out of nowhere.
Came out of nowhere. That was like probably the best underdog character.
Albo was always known for the Dudleys.
Yeah.
Like if you look at every single one of Miz and Morrison's tag TTs when they were champs, they would always mention the Dudleys. Every single time, and there was a reason. If Foch mentions somebody in a TT and does it consistently, there is a reason for that. There is a level of respect there. There is a bar that he is setting verbally, and he is trying to make his characters show that they're above that bar now.
Yeah.
So the fact that every single tag, like TT, in title matches and normal matches, he would mention the Dudleys, and by that he was essentially meaning Albo's Dudleys. There's a reason for that because of how good they were.
Yeah.
And like the spike just came out of nowhere. Like that was around the time when I was like sort of hovering back in and out of UWF. I think I might have been back as Owen.
Yeah, I think you were back as Owen, and that was the.
But I was sort of like not really all there.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that was like your last or maybe your second to last attempt at Owen in the UWF.
Yeah, probably for a good while, for good reason. Yeah. I will bring him back for one thing and one thing only, and I'm not going to say what it is. But there's one thing I want to do with him left. So if that comes up, it comes up. If it doesn't, it doesn't.
Yeah. But
so the reason I wanted to ask the question about Foch's title reign is, yes, he was facing top quality guys every single week. His team lost the Survivor Series, and he had basically 5 title matches in a row.
Yeah.
He faced you, he faced Albo, he faced Jimmy.
Well, actually, funny thing is...
No, Albo, he didn't face Albo.
Yeah. Albo didn't book himself in a
Angle.
title match. Yeah.
He faced Angle for a #1 contendership match for the title instead.
Yeah, because Albo wanted to have a shot at Steen in it, like up his sleeve. So he faced Angle for a contendership match. All of the rest of us booked world title matches.
Yeah. I'm sad Jimmy only booked like 1 or 2 matches. I wanted to see a full Jimmy Uso card.
Yeah.
I wanted to see what he had planned for me. But unfortunately, I don't think I was one of the matches that he picked out.
Yeah, I can't remember which ones he actually booked. I know, obviously, he booked his own match.
He booked 2. I think Danny said he booked 2.
Yeah. The other one was like, I think he was like pissed off at someone else, so he booked them in a fuck you match, but I can't remember exactly the details.
We need to ask Danny. We need to find this out. Oh man, that's perfect. That's everything I wanted to hear.
He was either pissed off or it was like a recent feud, so he was like...
So he was still kayfabe angry.
Yeah.
Because that's the thing, for those of you who weren't there for Jimmy Uso, he was always in kayfabe.
100%. He was always playing Jimmy Uso.
He was shooting and working at the same time, and like it was the hardest thing to keep track of. It's just like, should I be mad or should I not be mad?
There was a promo. There was a promo he wrote, and I think we put it in the episode, where he names Danny during the promo, demanding a world title match or something. It was the most absurd thing. It was just
he was Roderick Lynn at that point.
Yeah. So I think he said like, Roderick's gonna give me a world title or something like that. I can't remember what it was, but there was a promo where he
should have made Roderick strong and knew after that, in charge of the Jimmy Uso division.
Oh my god.
Oh man.
He was a character.
I don't remember that. I don't remember that promo. I wish I do.
Oh man. Yeah.
So, yeah, he faced a lot of top quality guys, but back then, Foch wasn't just a top quality guy. He was hungry.
Yeah.
He would promo constantly. He would TT constantly. He was always pushing the pace.
He was
facing a lot of people that were top quality, but wouldn't necessarily push the pace back.
Yeah. So, like, to put it in perspective, right? Like, these days, we've got guys like Lidl's or...
Jesus, yeah.
Or YOLO, who are showing up with, like, 2-3 promos. Like, Lidl's 1 week wrote so many promos that Danny was like, I have no space for all of these promos, so I'm not going to use some.
I can't hold all of these promos.
Yeah. So, like...
When you get to the point where you're told, like, hey, we can't fit all of these, pick your best promo, that's a good place to be.
100%. But, like, Foch was doing that, but he wasn't doing it with just Steen, right? Because he had the Bucks running at the same time. And at one point...
He had Omega on Raw. But that was later in
Raw
Steen's run. I
Warzone.
don't know if he had anybody else. Well, it was Raw at the time. It was still Raw at the time.
Yeah, it
When he
was
had
still
Omega.
Raw. But he was like specifically talking about just like Nitro, NXT, Thunder, whatever you want to call it. He was running like a promo with Steen, a promo with the Bucks, and then a promo with all three of them usually
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
every week. Or like he'd mix it up and bring in like a manager figure one week.
Yeah, Palmer Cannon was his
Yeah.
go-to.
Or he would have the proletariat boar of Moldova
Yeah.
there for a while with the Bucks when they formed the
Yeah.
Union.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
So like he
Or he'd
was
bring in like
doing
Sami
it
Zayn
at
for
that
like
time.
a Steen promo.
Yeah. Yeah, he was doing that at that time, and he was very hungry, and he was probably the most active guy on the show at the time in terms of just sheer volume of what he was producing.
Oh yeah,
But
100%.
but now you have guys who are that active and who, I mean, they might not be at the same level of quality yet, but like mark my words, you're going to have guys like Lidl's showing up and hitting that Foch level, I think, within a year.
Oh yeah,
Because like
100%.
just the improvement
I
that
could
we've
even
seen.
I could even argue some of them will hit it in like less than 6 months.
Yeah. Like just the
Like
improvement.
before 2019, I can see at least 2 new people winning the world title.
So can I. Because like just the sheer volume of work that they're putting in, but also like the trajectory you've seen them follow in terms of quality has just been insane. Like there are guys
And
coming in who put me to shame, and I've been at this for fucking 4 years, and it's like
yeah,
I'm writing TTs against these guys, and it's like they're hitting me with fucking shit that I don't know, as a part of my French, but I don't know how to counter this. Like I don't have anything to come back at this with.
and like I love it.
Yeah.
This is the hungriest I've ever been, because you know me, like I hit peaks and valleys, like I have like mood swings and things like that. Like there'll be times where I'm like, I'll go up against a match and it'll be a no-show, and like for the next 3 weeks it'll just ruin my motivation for like whatever reason. Like life stuff will combine with that no-show. Will be like, well, why am I doing this? And then like I'll be giving low effort, but like I see guys like Lidl's, I see guys like Heel Boy who just came in,
Yeah.
and like Wasabi and YOLO and like people like that, with how hungry they are. And I'm like, if Foch started an international title reign as his steed, same way through, like the same sort of trajectory, I don't think it lasts as long.
No.
I think if he doesn't face somebody that's like 100% better than him, he faces somebody that has it on fire that night, and then
Yeah.
finds it the rest of the way.
So like here's the thing, right? Oh man. So like Foch came really, really close to losing the international title before that record reign. I think twice. I could say one for sure was when he faced Soup's Rhino off
Oh
of
my god!
the
I
Money in the
remember.
Bank win.
Oh man, can we talk real quick about
I
how he
remember.
cashed in?
Yeah.
Whew,
I
one
remember
of my favorite segments that I've ever read.
Danny and I going over that one when he was like trying to decide who was going to win the match. And one of the things with Danny is whenever he's trying to determine the outcome of like a really big match like that, he will bring other people in to help him. Like the final decision is always him. But like he brings in
But he
other
wants,
voices, listens
not
to other
necessarily
people's
an echo
opinions.
chamber, but like a rapport with somebody to bounce stuff off to see if there's anything that he might have missed, like perspective wise.
Yeah, or like if there was a point in a TT that like really stood out for someone, but he didn't pick up on it, because like he's only one guy, right? And
Yeah.
I mean, with the really competitive TT sessions, sometimes you're looking at like 2-3 rounds,
A
1,500
4-post
words.
callback.
Like it's a lot of content, and
Yeah.
you know, there's like allusions to things that happened months ago that he might not necessarily 100% remember, but someone else might, right? Like it's just
Yeah.
all the context, just the sheer volume. He'll seek other opinions, and I remember that one because fuck, like we were both on the fence on that one. Like, how do you call this? Because both guys wrote really solid stuff for that match. And I think what it came down to be perfectly honest, was just it wasn't even the quality was still a concern, but the quality was so even that it was a volume question at the end of the day. It was like which guy is really killing it here? Which guy is really on fire, right?
Yeah.
And at the time, if I remember correctly, Soup was either just starting his Eric Young run,
Yeah.
or like
I don't even think he was yet.
maybe not, maybe not.
He might have been about to.
Yeah,
Because I feel like he didn't have Rhino when he had Eric Young. But I might be misremembering.
I might be misremembering too. But anyway, I do know that like just the sheer volume that both guys were putting out, but also the quality, like ultimately the decision was like we have to go with Steen, because also in the case of a tie often will lean towards the reigning champion, right?
Yeah, just just to make sure that like you're not getting any controversial where it's like he said, she said, like, well, this guy thought I won, and this guy thought he won, and
Like
so on and so forth.
we had another conversation about the Backlash main event, like the Backlash that just happened, and like,
Oh wow.
how do we decide which guy is going to win this thread? And it was really close again, and it was one of those things where it was like, well, shit, like everyone delivered quality. This guy won. Like we were going round for round, who won each round,
Oh wow.
and it was like,
That's when you know you're getting into it. Like
Yeah.
you have to like wow.
like it was a tough decision, but again, I think there are cases where like call it the champion's advantage or whatever, but sometimes that comes into play too.
Yeah.
And like it's hard because you don't want to hurt anyone's feelings, right? Or
Oh,
like
absolutely
bruise
not.
anyone's egos. And at a time like this, when the Fed is as competitive as it is and so many people are hungry, like you have to make a lot of hard decisions. I don't envy Danny whatsoever.
No, this is probably the best and worst time to be a head writer.
Yeah.
With the level of talent that you have, trying to create clear-cut divisions and lines. Because if you remember in the past, the tertiary title with the TV title that Dresden has with his Vinny,
Yeah.
the tertiary title used to be, hey, you just signed up, here's a title back in the old UWF.
Oh, 100%. Yeah, like I won, I think it was called the Legends title.
The Legends title, yeah, it was your first
And
title.
it was my first
You
title.
want to know a funny fact before you get into that?
Sure.
So your first title was the tertiary title. My last title for the Grand Slam was the tertiary title.
Yeah.
Hardcore title was the last title I needed for this Grand Slam.
I very predictably followed the like ranking up system.
Yeah, you did. You
Like,
did.
I went tertiary
Except
and
you
then I
haven't
won
won
the
a tag title.
European. Yeah, the only
Well,
title I've
you
never won is a tag title.
You won the U.S. title. That was your secondary.
Yeah, I won the US title on Galloway, and then I won the European on Lashley against Ambrose.
Which is a much better, like, not to say whoever you won the U.S. title from was meaningless, but like beating Ambrose for the European title ranks higher up than whoever else you might have beat for the U.S. title.
Well, I used that as a bragging point from then on. It was pure just Lashley being like, I was the one who ran Dean Ambrose out of town. Fuck that Kevin Steen guy. Like he was just picking up my scraps. I took Ambrose out.
And speaking of things like that, it's funny you beat him for the European title that he beat me for. I wasn't the European champion. It was in abeyance. It was vacated.
Yeah.
Because of Kali. I lost that match at the pay-per-view. I think the same pay-per-view you beat Ambrose for the European title, right?
Yeah.
You won it at Heat Wave, right?
Yeah. Yeah, that sounds right.
Heat Wave was the first pay-per-view I was on. I wasn't in a match, I don't think. No, I was in a match. They like reversed some of the things. Heatwave was the very first pay per view I had a match on. It was also the pay per view I won the world title. Because Ambrose beat me for the European title. I then went on at the next pay per view to win 2 world titles in one night because 3 out of the 4 people no showed and I showed up.
Yep.
So I find that funny because like you have, I beat Ambrose and ran him out of town. I have with Edge, I beat Khali. I speared him through the Punjabi prison.
Yeah.
I beat him in his match. I wish I still had the drive for that Edge run, man, because that was something special going on there.
Yeah, it was.
Hey, Daniel Bryan is pretty much a better version of my Edge.
Well, I won't disagree with you there.
So I actually do want to talk about some of the current things that you and I are going through. So you just recently dropped your Ziggler, who I loved.
Oh, thank you.
I loved your Ziggler because the very first character I e-feted as was Dolph Ziggler in that very first WWE league because I wanted to play somebody that I could write the voice for and enjoyed playing as. I was like, Ziggler works. Fun finishers, things like that. I can be a smarmy jackass. It was great. And you did a lot of the same things with your Ziggler. You were a smarmy jackass.
Yeah. My heel Ziggler was just the most egotistical, smarmy prick.
Until my Daniel Bryan showed up.
Yeah.
And might have an ego that can blot out the sun. But now you're playing Triple H.
Yeah.
And I knew heading into WrestleMania that you were dropping Ziggler. Because you had told me. Because I was like, hey man, you want to do a promo? You want to do a feud? Because I was fishing to come back. I was like, if I come back, I'm coming back on my turn. I'm going to feud with. See, here's what I said. So when I wanted to come back, I had 2 feuds in mind. I wanted to feud with your Ziggler, and I wanted to feud with Fosha Steen. I talked to you about it, and you're like, oh man, I'm dropping my Ziggler. I'm bringing in Triple H. And I was like, oh, cool. I still want to feud with you. And then I told Dan, I was like, hey, I want to feud, because I wanted to play ignorant, like, oh, I haven't talked to anybody about it yet. So I was like, hey, I want to come back, but I want to feud with Crann Ziggler and Fosha Steen. And Danny was like, I can't do either of those. Crann is dropping Ziggler for Triple H, and Foch is dropping Steen to put over Gert. And I was like, oh, I can't do any of the things I wanted to do. And I was like, hey, can I still feud with Crann with his Triple H? And he's like, yeah. And I laid out my plans. I can't really say them out loud because they're not fully finalized yet. We're still sort of in the second act, if you will, of some of the things I have going on. But so before WrestleMania, we both knew that we were going to be in a program together, and like we really didn't talk too much about it before you did the reveal.
Yeah.
I kind of wish we did, but I'm glad we didn't, because the promo we made to set that fire going was still excellent. And, you know, congratulations for the award.
Same to you, man. We share that shit.
Yeah, man. Like, I was honestly a little shocked to see that we won it. Not to say that the quality of what we did wasn't good, but I always have the mentality of, man, they have no idea what's about to come.
Yeah.
Like, there's still so much more that you and I are going to do just in general, because like we're gonna probably still be here for a while, so we're gonna end up in another program together because we're gonna ask for it. You'll probably be like, hey, I want to face this guy. I'm like, cool, let's do it. Because you know me, like, I love, if someone has a story, come to me, tell me what you got. I'm gonna be on board and we're gonna rock.
Yeah.
Like Lidl's Backlash promo with the hired guns, he's been working on that storyline for a while, and every step of the way he's involved me with it, because like, you know, I did the fourth wall breaking sort of narrator thing first, and I was like, yeah man, you can use that, I'll pass that on to you, that's cool, I like your hired guns, they're very E&C like, so I don't see why not. And I was like, hey, let's do a joint promo so I can write off E&C, fully pass the torch to you and be like, this is yours now, run with it. And so we did that. I wrote it in a car on the way down to Florida, so I feel like my quality wasn't 100% where it usually is with ENC, but I felt it was really good, and it was one of those things where like we were writing it in a Google Doc together. So like I would be writing an edgeline and he'd be underneath me writing like a Billy Gunn line. I'm like, no, read what I'm writing first and then respond to this. Like go back, change this. Like, oh, I'm going back up here. I'm gonna change this line because of this thing you said 10 lines later. It was like one of those things where I was like, this is a new experience, but I like this. I like writing stuff on the fly with people because like it feels very organic.
Yeah.
And I think I want to start like I want to thank Lidl's for doing that because that was an awesome way for me to finally realize like, man, a shared Google Doc between two people to write a promo or a segment out feels a little bit more organic because like with ours, it was you wrote something, I wrote something, you wrote something, the end.
Yeah.
There was no real blending that went in there. There was no real back and forth because that takes time. But if we start to get more people doing this Google Doc thing, we can have more organic face-offs and actually have like you say a line, I say a line, we get into it, we're like on the same page.
Literally on the same page.
Literally on the same page. Well, I know the Google Docs can get pretty long. But like I think that with the crew that we have, this is probably the strongest the site's ever been.
I would
It's
agree.
only gonna get stronger. We're gonna see new people in different title scenes. We're gonna see people either editing their characters to figure out their groove and get better from there, or even finding a new character that fits their writing style better.
Yeah.
Not to say that anyone's characters are weak, but there's always a way to improve. If you think that your Triple H is the best that it's ever going to be, then there's a problem with that.
Yeah.
Foch never had that mentality as Steen. He was always pushing himself to go further, to go higher.
Yeah, that is one thing that's important to note too for like any guy who wants to be the guy on the site. You can't get complacent. Like
Never.
you cannot let yourself get lazy,
Don't
especially
pull an
not now.
ace. Don't pull an ace.
Well, I mean, I wasn't going to name any names, man, because like
Look, man, I'll own up to my disappearing axe. I've done it twice.
hey, I have won titles and then fucked the dog for like a solid 3 months after winning them, man. So I'm not going to name names because that's like throwing stones in glass houses.
Yeah.
But like, yeah, it's you can't slack off. You can't like, or well, you can, but you can't expect to keep the title, right?
Yeah. You can't expect to keep your spot with how hungry it is now. It's not like you can be in the TV title scene and like sort of be inactive and still be right where you were. No,
Yeah.
you're gonna drop down. There's actually a TV title scene.
Yeah.
It's actually a thing. We
Like-
can say that now. It's a rarity, but we can say it, and it's beautiful.
We're at the point now where like pulling a 1-1 bra 1 week
Oh man.
will not do you
will
any
hurt.
favors.
It used to be something where like you could get away with maybe one a month like that.
Yeah.
But even this, if you do it once, your month is done.
Yeah.
Like you're just on the outs now. Now it's not like personal, but there's so many other hungry people. There's only so many matches and so many spots to fill.
Yep.
We had a 6-man tag match. Like that's how many people have been active. We had a 6-man tag match to then have a triple threat match for an opportunity.
Well, and that's the crazy thing too is you've got these threads like even the Money in the Bank. There was one guy, I think it was Nate, only made it for 1 or 2 rounds, but like that thread still went 3 rounds, and that's
Yeah.
a 6-man thread. Like-
The Ultimate X match at WrestleMania had 3 people go 3 rounds.
Yeah.
Maybe 4. No. Roman only went 2.
But like, I can remember a time where like booking a multi-man match like that was a nightmare for like Mike.
Who's not gonna show up
Yeah.
this time?
Yeah, for like Mike or Hoover, even Danny. Like there were times when the Fed was like struggling so hard with activity that we would book a multi-man match knowing full well like we're gonna get a round from like 2 guys.
Yeah, no, that's accurate. But when I will say this about the old Fed: when you had a multi-man match that went multiple rounds, it was something special.
Yeah.
I always point to the SummerSlam mini tournament to unify their two world titles, because back then they had the world heavyweight title and they had the global championship held by Dean Ambrose and Daniel Bryan respectively, and they had a mini tournament with Chase's Kurt Angle, Ray's Kane, to unify the titles. And that thread, I think we had asked for it to even be like archived or pinned so we can point to people to be like, hey, read this thread, this is what a TT thread should be.
Yep. That was a hell of
And
a
like,
thread. That was a hell of a like storyline.
it was. And like, honestly, the from me joining the Fed to that storyline, that is where my fascination with the Who's Daniel Bryan character comes from, is like that span. He was on it from that span.
Yeah.
And like that's why I wanted to bring him in, because like I wanted to show respect to that memory of that time period, because I wasn't a big fan of his Goldberg feud or things of that nature. It just didn't personally connect with me the way that went down and things like that. Not like politics wise, just like the story of it. Like I wasn't quite feeling it. But like that span before that period, like I loved that so much, and then like I put that towards the top of like how I look at storylines and character development and like character quirks and things like that. And I wanted to show respect to that and bring them in. And I also wanted to show respect to our mentality of, you know, you knocked us down, but we got back up, by bringing the real life backstage things into it as well, to be like, let's be a heel. Let's get actual heat from people.
Yeah.
So like, when I saw Drez be like, man, I don't really like this feud between Triple H. Like, I'm mincing words here, but like when he was showing like not like displeasure in it, but like he was cautious about it. And he was like, I don't know about this. And I'm like, perfect. I want you to not know how you feel about this. I want there to be a little pit in your stomach that's like, this is bad.
Yeah.
I wanted that, and I wanted to grow that and make you be like, oh, I see what he's doing. He's using that to build from there. And like that was the whole gimmick with the Daniel Bryan character, was just like I wanted the people that were there for that to get that like chill down their spine, like I don't like this.
Yeah, and I think that's like, sorry, I had a cat headbutt my hand here. I think that's like the same sort of visceral reaction. I think we were both going for the same thing from different sides, right?
Yeah.
Like you were going very much for like the I don't like this because I didn't like the way Daniel Bryan sort of played out in the old Fed.
Yeah,
And like
yeah.
you were very much trying to tap into that for
Oh
like
yeah,
that heel
100%.
heat. And like
Always gotta get that cheap heel heat.
yeah. And like the story that I wanted to do with Triple H is, I mean, people have clued in. I can say this. It's not a spoiler anymore. It's 100% like a redemption arc, right?
Yeah, it's your hero. It's your hero's journey.
Yeah. And like, I wanted to, like, when I decided I was going to pick up Triple H, a big part of it was like, this is a way to continue to build on the canon of like explaining what happened with the old site into the new site, bringing that like real world thing into the Fed's history, making an actual event, right?
Yeah.
But also a way to tell a story that I'm really wanting to tell right now, which is this redemption story.
Yeah. And I think, cause I think either you or Danny told me that you wanted to be like a tweener. I think you told me that you wanted to be like a tweener with your Triple H eventually.
Yeah.
That's kind of impossible against my Daniel Bryan, though. Everyone's a face against me. I could feud with the Miz. He's the face. I could feud with Jimmy Jacobs. I can find a way for him to be a face. Like no matter what, 100%. I am the heel of every feud I'm going to be in with Daniel Bryan. Like, there's no way around it. I refuse to not be the heel as this Daniel Bryan because he needs to be the bad guy.
Yeah.
Like, everyone hated Jimmy Jacobs in character for what he did at Mania to Steen. But that was like one thing that happened. It was like one moment, and now Jacobs is going to continue to build off of that in his own way, because like he had different reasonings for it, and then the crowd and like the fans, us, sort of look at it in this other mindset. Like, oh, you got rid of Steen. Like, no, it wasn't about getting rid of Steen. It was about, you know, trying to work together, and he refused to see things my way, and now you see things my way. So it's like you get that difference in like sight lines from the character to the people. With Daniel Bryan, like the sight line is the same thing. I am the best. Nothing you can say is going to change that. Like, I don't care who you are, what you've done. I'm better than you. I'm going to prove it. I'm going to say it. Ad infinitum, ad nausea. Like, I'm going to say it until like you are bleeding from the ears, and just like needle that home, and just be like, no matter who I'm against, like no matter what they've done to other people, I'm going to make the heel Daniel Bryan. Because he kind of needs to be like the Fed's central point of heat.
Yeah.
For like this, for the story that you're telling, it kind of needs to be that way. You need to have somebody outside of the, outside of our feud. When you go to your next feud, when you're wrestling your next guy, you need to be able to point to somebody and be like, this is what I'm fighting to stop.
Yeah.
Because the old Fed created this. The new Fed created so-and-so. And like whoever you're facing has like a point of respect and like things like that. Like, you need to have somebody you can point to. And everyone needs to have somebody they can point to. It's just like, man, look at this douchebag. Let's not be this douchebag.
Yep. Yep.
So one more question for you. And
okay.
this is a more fun one. So, for a brief period of time, you were a head writer.
Yeah.
So with our current UWF, right, we have one brand. Danny runs that brand. Danny comes to you. It's going to open up a second brand. You're the head writer. Everyone that's going to sign up for it is going to get second characters. However, he will also give you 3 current characters to take onto your new brand as the starting champions. Your world champion, your secondary champion, your third champion. I'm not going to say tertiary because you can do with it what you will. Whether it's a tag title, whether it's a gimmick title, whatever. Who do you take on as your world champ? Who do you take on as your secondary champ? Who do you take on as your third, whatever type of title you want it to be, champ?
All right. Oh, that's a good question.
I try.
Okay. So,
because like you got to remember, like you're getting all new characters from everybody else, but you need people to establish your hierarchies.
Yeah.
So they can be current champions now. They could be non-champions that you want to promote to champion, like whatever you want to do.
And it has to be guys that are active in the Fed right now.
Yes, currently active in the Fed right now.
Okay. So, the guy I'm taking and minting as my inaugural world champion.
Okay.
It's gonna be Lidl's.
It's gonna be Lidl's. Lidl's is Miz. Are you gonna throw us for a loop and make it Kidman or Gunn?
No, I'm gonna see. Here's where my business savvy comes in.
Okay.
I'm gonna take all 3.
Okay, you're gonna take all 3.
But Miz is going to be coming as a champion. The other 2 are coming as part of the package deal. Gotcha, I'm going to take all 3. I'm going to take all 3. I'm going to pull an Andy F85 and take all 3 because
I'm hardcore. I'll take them both.
Yeah, for those who aren't in the loop about who I'm referencing here, Andy F85 was the head writer of Thunder before I took over and completely fucked it up. And he was probably the hardest bargainer that I've ever seen. Any chapter of my life, not
Well,
just e-betting.
to be fair, until Danny took over NXT, what would become NXT, I think Andy's Thunder was one of the best written shows on the Fed during my tenure there.
Oh, I would agree 100%. I think Andy's Thunder was the best. I mean, I'm not just saying this because I was a writer on it, right?
Yeah.
I think that it was the best program we had at the time and possibly the best program we had ever had up to that
I
point.
had one complaint about it, but go on.
And the only reason I think that is because having worked either under or with in some way most of the head writers that the Fed has ever had, I could say that like Danny and Andy are probably the two, and Drez too, but Danny and Andy in particular are the two who have storylines in mind and who bring
100%, yeah.
that sort of narrative direction. And they come to the table and they say like they're open to other people pitching things and working that into the grand scheme of things, but they have a direction that they want the ship to go in, and they sort of steer the narrative in that direction. The players might change depending on activity or like who shows up and who doesn't, or who's like legitimately winning threads and who isn't, but like they come in with a vision.
Yeah.
But anyway,
and my one complaint about Thunder, which is why I ranked Danny and NXT and what would become Revolution above that, is Andy seemed very adamant about his path with his storylines. It seemed very difficult. Like if he had a game plan in mind, it seemed very like you would have to like squash somebody to be able to change that. I point to Corey Graves' eternal chase after the international title as a point to that, because there were matches where I'm like, I think Graves won. I thought Anna King had the title won at times, but he didn't win because they were all in on the cartel storyline, which was a great storyline to be all in on. I won't lie. That was a great storyline to be like, this is our main focus, but I also feel like it kind of took away from some of the bigger moments by being so focused on that.
funny
I think
story.
Danny has that solved a little bit. Oh boy. Got
So
some insights, hot scoops. I love it.
about the cartel and Corey Graves. For 3 pay-per-views running before Corey Graves finally won the world title, I had tried to push Andy to put the world title on Corey Graves.
Because he, for a time, he was the hottest thing going in the company.
Yeah.
His chase against the cartel was one of the most compelling storylines that I've read. The character work on both sides was impeccable. It was the Daniel Bryan story without the WrestleMania 30 payoff.
Yeah. Like I was pushing for Corey Graves, and Andy's big thing that he would always come back with was, yeah, but he's not doing anything different. In every thread, he comes in and he keeps banging the same drum, keeps making the same points. He's never shaking anything up. He's not learning from his defeats. And that was Andy's counter argument every time. Right?
I can see that as a good counter argument, though.
Yeah, it was a solid counter argument. But at the same time, I was like, I understand where you're coming from here, but people want to see the fucking cartel lose. Like,
yeah, they need to. Even if it's not like the big blow, like you can't just have them lose for their blow off when they blow up.
Yeah,
you need to have those little chips along the way.
Yeah, because if the cartel are winning every pay-per-view, like if they're walking out world champion, X Division champion, fucking like if they're winning every pay-per-view,
tag champion.
Yeah. At one time, they held all of the championships except for one, which was Andy DNU's Neville holding the X Division title, and then the Intercontinental title.
Well, no, they had that for a long time because Juventud brought it back and just held it for a while.
Yeah, so what happened was DNU had the X Division title, Juventud had the Intercontinental title, uh, the Cartel had the tag titles. I can't remember which team it was. I
It
think
was
it was
Hanako
Hanako.
and
Yeah,
the other one,
the one I can never
Camacho.
remember.
Camacho.
Yeah,
It was Chase. Um,
no, I think
he,
that was Ray.
no, was it? Was it Ray?
Yeah, because Ray was Escobar,
Chase.
Hanako, and
Oh,
Camacho.
yeah.
Chase was Mysterio, Sin Cara,
Mysterio. I always get
and
the and Homicide.
Homicide.
I don't know why I always lumped Homicide in with Hunico and Camacho. Because I think
Racist.
they were similar promos though. They were
Yeah.
similar promos.
Well,
That's
I
what it
mean,
was.
after a while, a lot of the
The cartel sort of
stuff
blended together.
sort of blended together.
Other
It
than
sounds
Danny's
terrible.
stuff.
Other than
Danny
Dan.
always was the outlier of the cartel.
But that's because he wasn't afraid to have fun with the Mexicools, right? Like the cartel were this big menacing group. I mean, they murdered a dude. They murdered Sammy Callahan. Like they killed the guy.
Escobar did.
Yeah.
It wasn't even like Ray, the leader. Well, not the leader, but like the face did it. No, the leader, the manager did it. In Escobar. Escobar.
So like this was not a fun and games stable. But Danny was not afraid to play fun and games.
Yeah.
But anyway, so yeah, getting back to our original point that we've trailed way off from.
that's the gimmick here.
I would drive the hard bargain and say, like, I want Miz as my world champion, but I also want the hired guns to come in with him because they're like his hired guns. They need to be there.
Yeah. They got to be there.
I'm not just doing it so I could get 3 established guys on my roster. I also think that
No, you're not doing that.
I also think that Lidl's is hungry and would be a solid like guy to build a brand around. If you're doing a brand extension, I think other than like
him.
aside from like Gert, who is obviously on the rise. I mean, he won a Money in the Bank briefcase. He's on his way up. And aside from Soup, who is an established world champion.
Yeah. I think I think you have a good point there with Lidl's. Like 100%. He would probably be my choice for world champion too. Just because of his hunger and his activity. He's pushing the pace. He's always reaching out to others for improvement, which I love to see with all the new guys. Heel Boy's been reaching out to me about some things. He's coming in with his Punk. I've been working with Lidl's. I reached out to Wasabi and Yolo during WrestleMania and gave them some pointers and things like that to try to like, hey, you guys can like come to us if you have questions or things like that. Like we all want to improve, and I think since then we've been just seeing a lot of like improvement. We've been seeing a lot of activity, but yeah, I think Lidl's is a great choice to build a second brand off of.
Yeah, like in his first, I think it was like his first month, maybe his first month and a half in the Fed. He sent me a PM being like, "Hey man, you're one of the top guys around here. Can you like look at my stuff and tell me how I can improve?" And that was impressive to me because like, I'm not saying like it was impressive to me because it built up my ego. It did, but it was impressive. It was impressive to me because like on the old site, I think I was maybe reached out to for that kind of feedback twice. And once was by Destruction, who I became a huge advocate for because of that. Because I saw the hunger.
Yeah.
And the other one, I think was Soup, but it might have been Swag. I don't know if you were around for Swag, but he played Big
Swag.
Show.
I remember the name. Yeah, I remember Swag.
For some reason, an S name is hitting me, so it was one of the two of them. I liked
his Big Show. I liked his Big Show.
Yeah, he played a good Big Show, and he was like eager. He was willing to write matches.
Yeah.
He was in it, right? But
I remember
anyway,
that.
Yeah. And that really impressed me to see that sort of enthusiasm and like desire to improve. And I think that he's a guy who is one of those guys where you said like there's guys who in 6 months are going to win a world title. I think he's one of them, right?
Yeah.
And I think we're at the point where if the Fed keeps growing the way it is and the quality is where it is, we might have to consider looking at either an extension or like bringing in another title or something.
Yeah.
Because like we're getting to the point now where we've got a scene where we could easily have like 8 or 9 guys holding that world title.
Yeah, we're starting to get to that point.
But anyway, so Lidl's is my world champion. I'm bringing him over as the Miz. I'm minting him as a world champion, building the brand around him. Miz TV,
Heel world
whatever.
champion. Keep that in
Yeah.
mind. Heel world champion.
Well, I like my heels. What can I say?
Yeah. I'm just just keeping that in mind for your next two titles.
So, my mid card champion, or my like intercontinental
secondary.
equivalent, yeah, my secondary title. I'm gonna be honest. I think I would be minting Marty Skrull.
Ooh, okay. The
Because,
villain.
yeah, I mean, so here's the thing. Semi Obsessive, or Saint George, I think was the name he was going by originally.
Oh, is that St. George?
yeah.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense.
So, like, he came in to the Fed just before we switched sites, like a couple
Yeah.
months before the old Fed collapsed, and he was on Warzone.
Ooh,
Like
yeah.
he was picked up by
Who did he play as St. George?
he played Skrull. Like he's always been
Oh,
playing
he played
Skrull.
Skrull? Okay.
But
okay.
yeah,
yeah.
he was playing
Oh,
Skrull
yeah, I do
on
remember that,
Warzone. And I remember watching him play on Warzone and thinking to myself, like, this is a shame.
Yeah.
This guy
It's a shame
should
that
be
he's on
on
Warzone.
Yeah, like this guy should be on NXT. And like there were a couple guys who Warzone got who I was like, this is a shame. This guy should be on NXT.
Yeah, Red Bull.
Yeah, we were insanely jealous that they took Red Bull because they didn't even have a fucking tag division. Like they took the
They wanted to
guy
build one.
because the whole thing was they got the women's division, we got a tag division. That was the original deal, right?
Yeah.
So like when a tag team came in, the logical place to put them was on NXT. But
Yeah.
they snatched up Red Bull, and unfortunately, like I think they almost forced them into like doing a cast run with Enzo as manager. But like they did establish a tag division. It's just it was dead, right? Like they had
Yeah, it was dead
there-
on arrival because they had Red Bull.
yeah,
They had Red Bull and Ray.
yeah, and Ray
That was it, and Ray disappeared.
yeah,
Unfortunately, because Ray, oh my god, if Ray was on this current site with the activity that we have, it would be scary
yeah.
if he matched it.
Oh, if he came in like
If he came
Peak
in with
Ray?
Lidl's hunger,
yeah, if he came in on his Cody Rhodes,
not
with-
perfected Cody Rhodes, fractured psyche Cody Rhodes. I hate it, perfected Cody Rhodes.
yeah,
I'm gonna go right out and say it. His perfected Cody Rhodes was awful.
I'm thinking of the one with the plastic mask, the
Yeah,
disfigured one.
the shattered psyche Cody.
Yeah,
That I feel like people probably think that I ripped off with Owen, but I was writing Owen that way before Cody Rhodes. I was.
yeah, no,
Before I knew that he was a thing. Yeah.
but like
I kind of took the two voice color thing from him when I redeveloped Owen, but yeah.
yeah, if he brought that character in with like his old level of activity,
Awful for everybody
yeah,
in a good way. It
In
would
a
be
good way.
like it would be frustratingly fun. I think is the right way to describe facing
Yeah.
that Cody because like it's like he's got a scalpel and he's just dicing up all of your words and just like redoing it and making it seem like you just talked him up.
yeah, he was good. He was good on Sandow too.
Oh god, his Sandow should have been world champion sooner. It I'm you know.
Yeah, yeah, should have been world champion when he was active.
Yeah, he should have been world champion when he was active, let's say that.
Yeah. So yeah, I think I take Skrull and make him my my secondary champion because I think he's a guy who puts in a lot of work. He does care. We see his enthusiasm. I mean, he's like, "Where's Backlash? Where's Backlash?"
Yeah.
We see his enthusiasm for the product.
We just sort of need to take that enthusiasm and sort of turn it into like a productive enthusiasm.
Yeah.
I think is the only thing.
I agree there, and I think giving him a solid like secondary title to work with and develop his
his
character.
character, to establish a
Yeah.
good division, to establish a clear line between like, not not to say like Miz is up here and Skrull's down here, but like to establish like a sort of hierarchy. Like,
Yeah.
here's the bar for secondary, here's the bar for world. Like,
Exactly.
this is what you've got to strive for.
And if I'm taking a character for my, we'll call it my tertiary title, because I am very much a traditionalist in that respect. I mean,
Okay, so you're gonna stick with a tertiary title as opposed to coming in with like a gimmick title.
I would stick with a tertiary title and try to strike a deal with Danny that we bring in a joint tag division, which is how I thought it should have been run on the old site.
Okay, so your third title is gonna be the tag titles.
No. The tag title is going to be something different.
Oh, okay. I see what you're saying. I gotcha.
But the tertiary title, hang on. I'm gonna do the tag title first. I think that we're in a position now where we've got enough guys who have like stables or multi-people units who are enthusiastic, who are active. I think we're headed in the direction where we're going to be looking at a tag division.
Okay. Hot
just
scoops, you're right here first. Start bugging Danny. Hey,
well,
where's
I
tag
mean,
division at?
hang on.
Hey, Roderick Lynn, where's tag division at?
I should full disclosure here.
I'm kidding. Don't actually book Danny.
I have no management authority on the site.
I'm making fun of the Jimmy Uso shoutbox antics.
Yeah.
Hey, Danny, where's NXT at? All right, where's NXT it? I think he would say.
Yeah. Where's NXT show?
Where's NXT show? Where's Tag Division show?
Danny, where's NXT show? Is anything wrong with NXT show?
Hey Chase, where's NXT show?
Oh yeah, when he would just ask random management. Oh man.
He's colored name, gonna ask. He never asked Ash though.
No, the funniest one was when Sam was still listed as an owner on the site for some reason, and he asked Sam where Raw was one week. And Sam was like, I don't fucking know, mate. Like, Sam wasn't even active at the time, but he was on the site.
He was just online that day.
Yeah.
Sam was one of my favorite people to have write a match for me.
He
wrote an Edge and Christian match. It was a joy.
Oh yeah, he's a
he
got
it. He got it immediately. Like, that's the thing. Like, you can write a match between two characters, but not really get a character, and it sort of makes the match suffer a little bit. Like, if like Mike would have wrote that Steen Jacobs match, he might not have gotten it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Well,
Mike could write a really good match.
Mike wrote
like that.
Mike wrote really solid matches when they were between like WWE guys.
Yeah.
But like if you included an element from the indie scene, he was clueless.
It was like that scene in SpongeBob. It was like, we threw out his name.
But anyway, Sam was also an underrated T tier. Like, he could pick up the most random people.
Shark Boy, world champion Shark Boy.
At one point, Grado.
Didn't he win it in the Elimination Chamber too?
I'm pretty sure.
Like, let's list off the people that were in that Elimination Chamber. Chase's AJ Styles, underrated. If you guys have not seen Chase's, I think he was right. Chase was on AJ at that point in SmackDown.
Yeah.
I think he was in the Chamber. Dresden Sting, who was the last one eliminated from the Chamber. So it came down to Shark Boy and Sting. I'm pretty sure. Who walked in as champion? That I don't remember.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Cody Rhodes. I think it was Cody. I think Cody was champ. Cody might have been champ.
That sounds like it's right.
Fandango on Danny. And if that sounds ridiculous, it's not. As much as we praise his Ambrose, his Fandango is underrated.
Danny's 1%, like that entire shtick was underrated. If you ever want to laugh riot, ask Danny how he feels about how the 1% were booked.
Oh man. to see one of his Double Dragon promos because those things are awesome.
Yeah.
And that's why I wrote on my 1TT, I'm going to hit these two with a Double Dragon's Bite just to piss off EC3. That's why I put that line in there, because he used to do promos with, I think they were Derek Bateman and Johnny Curtis at the time, called like the Double Dragon's Lair.
Yeah, the
So I
modern
came up with
day
that
Double
line.
Dragons.
The modern day Double Dragons, yeah. And so I came up with that, like, I'm like, this is gold and no one's going to get it, but maybe Danny. And I was so proud of that line. That was my favorite line I've written so far, was that. I'm going to hit, I think I said Victor and Monty Brown with a Double Dragon's Bite just to piss off EC3. So I've listed 4 people. Shark Boy was in it. Who was the 6th guy? Oh, you want to know who the 6th guy was? Eliminate it first. Schmitty on Chris Masters.
Yeah. I remember his Masters.
He tripped over his own feet in that match and got himself eliminated first because he went out of turn and was all uppity. Not uppity, but like he was like very what's the word I'm looking for? Confrontational about it. That's the word. Because his Masters was on the rise with that, and like I was even trying to help him with his Masters because Schmitty is one of the people who brought me into UWF. He was part of the crew from that very first EFED I was in, and that crew is what brought me in.
And he was sort of in PWL too. I think he played Kofi Kingston a little bit, but like he wasn't like super active.
Yeah, he was in it for a very small amount of time, I think, too. Yeah, those were the 6. I think Cody walked in as champion though.
That sounds like it was probably right.
Because I think Fandango got eliminated by him. Who I think Sting might have eliminated Cody then.
Yeah.
And then Shark Boy eliminated Sting and won the world title on Shark Boy in an elimination chamber filled with like, I won't say 6 top guys because Schmitty was on the rise at the point. He was the rising star of the match, and you know, if he didn't trip over his own feet, could have realistically won that because his Masters was just getting better with each TT.
Well, that was
tripped over his own feet.
That was also a classic like Mike/Hoove booking formula with those multi-man matches. They'd always put in like 2, 3, sometimes 4 like super established stars, like guys who are legit,
who are gonna go after it,
could be
you'll know
world title
rounds,
holders.
You know, they'll
and then they would take a flyer on a guy who's like up and coming, who has something to prove, who might surprise them, but more than likely is just going to look good being in the match, right?
Lashley and Edge in the Devil's Playground.
Exactly. Like, you can point to examples all the way around the thing. Batista.
It's not a bad strategy.
Yeah. Batista in the Hell in the Cell where Damian Sandow beat me for my world title on Lashley was one of those guys. And actually I advocated for Batista. Yeah. And again, I advocated for him to win that match. They went in a different direction, but I did try to push.
Yeah.
But like that was a classic formula for them, and it worked for the most part because like it was a way to mint new guys, keep existing main event guys happy.
See if they could hang.
Yeah.
You would have your consistent main event guys that could carry the load if the newer guy fell behind.
Yeah.
So you weren't having like a 1-1 bra with a main event elimination chamber. I think that went at least like 3 rounds or something. That was a heavy threat. That was a very heavy threat.
Yeah, but like Sam is one of those guys where he can pick up a guy that nobody knows.
He can pick up a Shark Boy.
A Shark Boy, a Grado. He picked up Chris Renfrew from ICW for a while.
Yeah, he did. I remember that.
Like,
I think I faced him. And I was like, I don't know who this guy is.
Exactly. Like, he would pull up just these characters that you have no idea.
Not only did he win the world title as Shark Boy, he then lost the world title as Shark Boy, turned heel, unmasked him, and then played unmasked Shark Boy.
Dean Michael or Matthew?
Roll.
Dean Matthew.
Dean Matthew Roll.
DMR.
DMR. Had like 3 pictures. That's it.
He owned that shit, man.
He had a plan every step of the way, and like it was a weird plan every time, but it was a plan.
Yeah. Anyway,
Who beat his Grado for the hardcore title? Was it Blackman? I think it was Blackman.
oh, I'm not sure if it was
No, it
Blackman
wasn't
or
Blackman.
Rhino.
Did I beat Rhino for the hardcore title? I beat whoever beat Grado for the hardcore title as Owen. Don't remember it being Rhino, because then Rhino went on to be Money in the Bank winner and
Was
like,
it
world champ.
was it Tap Out's Abyss? Maybe.
Yes, it was Abyss.
Okay, there we go.
I beat Abyss, and
Yeah.
then I lost it. I lost it to Blackman. I think I beat Blackman once, and then he beat me or something like that.
Yeah, that was a crazy hardcore division.
Yeah, man.
We had a Jimmy Jacobs
loved
running
82.
around at the time.
I love W82. Like I was so
Yeah.
happy to. I'm one of these weird guys. Like I like winning titles. That's nice. It's not why I'm here in this run. I'm not here to win a title. I'm gonna win the King of the Ring though. Let's be fair. I'm not here to win a title. I'm here to tell the stories I want to tell. Like with you, I wanted to tell a good story with establishing both of our new characters, and I think we did a really good job with that. And I'm interested to see where Triple H goes. I'm excited to show everyone where Daniel Bryan's gonna go, because there's some fun stuff coming. I'm not here to win titles, and it's one of those things where when I lose a title, I can be happier when I lose the title than when I won it. There's some weirdness with that, like if that makes sense. Like I won the European title as Christian from Sandown. I'm super proud of that. I stopped that historic reign, and people were mad at me, but I did it. And then I lost the title to Fosha's Morrison, and I was happy. I was like, "Yeah, I lost it to my buddy. I'm fine with that." I lost the hardcore title, the W82, and I loved it. I was like, "Yes, you deserve this. Take this and run. Show everyone what you've got." And like that's the kind of person that I am, and like I'm a little disappointed that I wasn't better at that when I lost the tag titles to Hunico and Camacho, because I was just so beat down from being on Raw with Thunder and SmackDown's tag titles. They should have just moved me to Thunder temporarily to lose the titles and then go back to Raw.
Yeah.
I would have been fine with that. But like having a TT for Raw and then write a promo for Thunder and like trying to work with 2 different sets of people, and Jimmy Uso was one of them. Don't ever write a joint promo with Jimmy Uso. It's pulling teeth. It's the worst. It'll show up an hour before the show, and you'll be like, how do I work around this? And thank God I played Edge and Christian, and I can work around anything with them and their gimmicks, because I can just gloss over anything with them. I can be like, I wasn't listening. We're going to move on now. I think that might have been how I did it. But like I would have been fine just like dropping the titles to Hunico and Camacho. Just like the way it played out, I didn't like, and I think that's why I was a little jaded when I lost the tag titles. I was fine losing the tag titles. I was fine losing them to the Cartel. I just didn't like the way it happened. The match was written excellently. Edge and Christian looked like monsters. Hunico and Camacho just looked like they were capitalizing on wounded animals. Because if you remember in that match, it was like a 5-team elimination match. Jimmy Uso won a match the week before to come out last in the gauntlet. So it was like 4 teams in at first. Once one team was eliminated, then the Usos would come in. Edge and Christian eliminated every team and then lost.
Yeah.
They got the Braun Strowman push before the Braun Strowman push was a thing. We eliminated everybody, and then Hunico and Camacho beat us. And a good, well-written final 2 matchup as well. So like I wasn't mad about any of that. I just was a little jaded on like how it was on one show but competing on another. Like it just didn't mesh well with writing, because I had different deadlines to worry about. I had different people to try to work with. I had like, I gotta check this, I gotta check that, with like 2 different people, like with one person on 2 different shows. I mean, like if it was 2 different people, it would make more sense. Could be like, okay, I got this storyline going here, I got this storyline going here. It's like, oh, when I've got one storyline split between 2 shows, how do I do this?
it was a tough time for you for sure. But yeah, I mean, there's no way around that. That was a fucky situation too. Just having the wrong brand's tag titles.
Yeah. I've said it before. For those of you who don't know why I had SmackDown's World Tag titles, it was another instance of being in the right place at the right time, like my world title win. I maintain that I've only legitimately won 2 titles. I've legitimately won the European. I legitimately won the tag titles. The other two, no, not the Europe. No, I didn't legitimately win the tag title. I'm misspeaking. I legitimately won the hardcore title. I legitimately won the European title. Everything else was just sort of like gimme victories. Like, there was a triple threat match for the Raw tag titles on my first pay per view. There, it was Miz and Morrison. Was it Albo's Dudley's? It was no, it was the Varsity Squad. It was Chase's Varsity Squad. That's who it was, and then me. It was one of those weird situations where like both members had to escape the cage, or just one pinfall would win it. So that was the gimmick, is like one of the Varsity Squad of Edge and Christian escaped, and then like as Christian was escaping, Morrison and Miz pinned the other Varsity Squad member, so they just straight up won because they were both still in the cage and just beat him down while Christian was climbing.
Yeah.
So I was written as like the runner up in the match, just because I didn't get pinned. I was about to win, quote unquote, so on and so forth. And then the SmackDown titles had 2 no-shows, and it was a flag match. So the gimmick was, I think even before the bell rang, Edge and Christian run out, beat down both teams, grab both flags, and just stand in the middle of the ring, and they're like, I guess they're the tag champs now. I was like, oh, because no one told me. I read it during the show, and I was like, what? Like, I was freaking out as I was reading this. I was like, oh man, I lost the tag match. It was a really good match. I can't be disappointed. I just showed up here. And then, like, a couple matches later, I'm reading this. I'm like, why are my guys here? Why are my guys winning? Why do I have titles on SmackDown? And then the next pay-per-view, I was booked in a triple threat match. It was me from Raw, a team from SmackDown, and a team from Thunder. The team from Thunder was Road Dogg and Billy Gunn, which was a 2-person tag team. I don't mean like 2 people. Like, I mean 2 different people played each character. I forget who the SmackDown team was.
Yeah.
I think the SmackDown team might have been... Oh, man, I can't remember.
Could it have been the 1%, maybe?
No, there's no way I would have won that match if it was the 1%.
That's true. Although, I mean, who really didn't get the 1%?
Who didn't get my Owen Hart either. That kind of led to me dropping him and like disappearing my first run, because like I was getting burnt out on Owen, and then I was getting burnt out with the rebranding or the rebooting of the UWF to the UCW Raw, and then Omega SmackDown, and whatever the fuck Thunder.
Omega SmackDown. And
Omega...
UWF Thunder.
Yeah, it was UWF Thunder.
Yeah, Andy was like, this is an idiotic idea.
I picked the color scheme for SmackDown because when they changed the logo to gold, they were just using yellow. I was like, yo, use my Owen Hart color for the writing for SmackDown. You guys need it.
Yeah.
I was like, here, use this. And they're like, thanks. And they started using it. I'm like, we can read the show now.
Yeah.
Because I used that bright, god-awful yellow at first. Like,
the banana yellow. Yeah.
Banana yellow. I remember someone came in with a Johnny Gargano for like one promo and used that banana yellow. And we were like, I have no idea what you said. And then they were gone. Like, that was it. I remember the weirdest things.
Omega SmackDown was just a Vince Russo style car wreck.
Yeah.
But you know what? That was where Drew Galloway became U.S. champion. So, as much of a...
UCW Raw is when I won the world title, so I can't... It was a very beneficial car wreck for the both of us.
As much of a train wreck as it was my train wreck.
It was our train wreck. That's the way we gotta win world titles now. We just have to be involved in train wrecks.
Yeah, there we go. Speaking of train wrecks, getting back to my brand
this
extension.
podcast. Oh, okay, different direction. So who's your tag team?
So anyway, no, we're gonna establish a tag division. I think the only fair way to do that is just hold a tournament for the belt,
Okay.
right? So I'm
I'll
not
let you keep going. I'm not going to derail you anymore.
I'm not pulling a specific team. I think we hold the tournament for the belt, and then we decide from there.
Do you book any strange bedfellow teams? Meaning, like, you just take two T tiers and like throw them together as a team. Like, you two are working together.
I would, because I think that is a hilarious dynamic
Who do you pick
for a
what
tag tournament. I'm taking Enzo Amore, so
Okay.
Koopa, and Rick Rude.
Right. And Rick Rude. Okay. Interesting. So you're going heel with it though.
Oh, 100%.
You love your heels. I guess that makes sense.
But like, I'm not saying they're winning the tournament, but I would book them as a Strange Bedfellows team because I think it would be hilarious to see two complete, like, egotistical, look at me guys trying to coexist as a team. I think it would make for some really interesting TTs.
I have a question.
Okay.
Can I be booked in the tournament as just Daniel Bryan?
Yes. I mean, in this hypothetical tournament, yes. I would lose. I would lose in the first round, and then I would blame my non-existent tag partner. The story writes itself. Okay.
Come on.
I think that would be funny. Yeah, like have him go to do a hot tag with someone who's not there as the spot, right?
Yeah.
And then like lose his shit because his tag partner isn't there.
Not there.
And then,
but he never had one.
And then the enemy team just takes advantage.
The whole build up to it is he's like talking up like himself and is like, it doesn't matter who my tag partner is. Like, I don't know who they are. And like the whole time, EC3 is like in the back.
Yeah,
like,
and
he doesn't have one. You never had one. You asked me not to book you something. He's like,
no. To book it, it's Daniel Bryan and a mystery partner, right?
Okay.
So, like, the entire lead up, the entire TT session, you just have Daniel Bryan talking about how it doesn't matter who his partner is, etc., etc. He's going to win, yada, yada. The mystery partner never fucking shows up for the TT session, right?
Okay, yeah.
And then you do a promo right before the match where Daniel Bryan tells whoever's running the show, yeah, I'm not going in with a partner. It's just me.
Yeah. And it loses, and it's like, why didn't you give me a tag partner?
Yeah, exactly. Like, that's what we're doing. That's how you book that.
Oh, I love it. No, that's great. That's awesome.
Okay, so I think the only fair way to determine a tag division's inaugural champions on the new site would be a tournament.
Yeah.
And, I mean, I think it would make sense to run that. I mean, if you want to make it a big deal that we now have a tag division, maybe you make it the main event of that pay-per-view.
Oh, for sure, 100%. You do the semifinals. You do it as one big thread, I think is what you do. Is you do the semifinals and the finals as one of those big clusterfuck threads.
Yeah.
Where everyone's TTing against each other. Kind of like how they did SummerSlam.
Yeah.
Because the SummerSlam mini tournament was 3 matches. It was a World Heavyweight title match between Ambrose and Kane, and it was a global championship match between Daniel Bryan and Kurt Angle, which on paper sounds outstanding.
Yeah.
Ambrose lost to Kane, Bryan beat Angle, Kane beat Bryan, unified both world titles. So Kane also won 2 world titles in a night. Legitimately, though.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think you do it as one big cluster thread. You do the semifinals towards the top of the card to like get the crowd going hot, and then you do the finals as the main event.
Yeah. So that brings us now to the tertiary title, the third title.
Yeah.
So I see, I'm torn on this one, right? Because there are a lot of guys that I think would be good holders of this title. And some of the guys that I had in mind who aren't my guy, but were very close, are Cairns on his
Okay.
broken mat,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
who has been very good since he came back on his broken mat, but he's been
Yeah.
matched up against some of the top guys in the Feds.
Yeah. So it's like, oh man, I don't feel like I'm doing very well with my broken mat. It's like, no, you're doing great. You just, it's like fantasy football. You could be the second best team in the league, but every week you're going up against the best team of that week.
Yeah,
Like, you could miss the playoffs, but be the best team in the league
yeah.
just because of the matchups.
So like Cairns comes very close there. Also, I mean, he came into the Fed around the same time as I did, and originally, like way back on the old
Yeah,
site.
yeah, yeah.
And we
I
had a
think you had him
feud
beat
between his
though.
Vampiro and my Lashley. That was one of my first feuds. So like he and I go back, and I like his work. I think he's a good guy.
Yeah.
But he's not my guy. Uh, Another guy who's not my guy, but who I think could be my guy, is Red Bull on his reigns.
Okay, yeah, I see that. I can see that for sure.
His reigns brings some pretty solid stuff to the table. I think my one question with him is like I don't think I've ever seen him push the pace on a thread yet. And I mean it's early still. He's just getting back into the swing of
Yeah.
things. But like I haven't seen the appetite from him that I've seen from other guys, right?
Yeah.
Yet. Now that's not a knock against him. It's just one of those things, right? So the guy I'm going with for my third tier title, and I would hate for him to think that this is a sort of reflection on what I think about him because I think he's even potentially above the third tier title, but I want my third tier title division to be really fucking strong. So I want my guy there to be a strong T tier is Benito's Wyatt
Okay.
because he's another guy having watched his trajectory since he came in. I like what he's doing with the character. I like the idea of having Abigail as an actual like person, right?
Yeah.
And I was really impressed by his activity in the Money in the Bank thread. And I think that he's a guy who could come in and be a solid sort of presence to build that division around, right? Because
Yeah.
like we've got Dresden on Revolution, and he
Who
is
could be a world title contender
yeah,
as
and
the tertiary title holder.
exactly, and he is like a solid presence in that division. He sets a very high bar for anyone coming in saying like, "This is the bar you have to hit to be in contention
This
for a
isn't a
belt."
handout. This is not a handout. This is
Exactly,
not a handout title. You got to earn this.
exactly, and I would want that in my third championship guy too, and I think Benito is a guy who could do that. Um, Another guy I would think about, but I mean, I would need to see. It kind of sucks to say this, but I would need to see like a more established track record of activity and make sure that he's not going to drop off. But another guy I'd think about would be Tap Outs Kendrick, because when he first
Okay,
came
yeah, yeah,
in,
yeah.
when we first started up the site again, and he came in with his Kendrick was on fire. Like his Kendrick could have easily have been in the sort of at least the main event picture by now if he had never fallen off. I think because he had the quality when he first showed up when the site first restarted,
Yeah.
but he fell off unfortunately, and that's just the thing. But I think he's a guy who like I would love to have to build toward, if that makes any sense.
No, that makes a lot of sense actually.
But because I can only take 3 established guys, I'm gonna cheat and take 5.
Yeah.
It's gonna be Miz Hired Guns as my top champion on Miz, Saint George or Semi as Skrull as my mid tier champion, and Benito's Wyatt as my third tier champion. And all 3 of those guys are heels.
Yeah.
If
Yeah, they
if
are.
if you're thinking of Wyatt as a heel, I mean, you could say he's technically a tweener. He's just sort of doing his own agenda, right?
Yeah.
So, but like all 3 of those guys are basically heels. I love my heels. I got to be honest.
I can see that.
But
Heel a good face requires a great heel.
exactly. But
Like that's just like the level of heel that you are. The face is always going to be a little bit underneath that. So like a great heel will make a good face. An amazing heel will make a great face.
yeah, I mean, just think about it. Like Cena was doing his best work when he was working against Edge or
Yep.
CM Punk.
Yep. Yep.
Like
100% agree.
his best work was
Can you
against
tell
those
where I
two
got
guys.
my Edge inspiration from?
Yeah.
06.
Like
Seeing Edge win the world title in Philadelphia live on a Raw.
face Punk did his best work against heel Jericho, in my opinion. That
Yeah.
might be controversial.
Yeah. No, I can see that. Yeah.
I really dug that feud. I thought that feud went in places that I never expected a WWE feud to go. The whole idea of like Jericho pushing Punk and being like, "You're gonna become an alcoholic just like your dad." Like
Yeah.
that was.
Like the
I mean,
personal
it was.
level to it.
Yeah,
Jericho's
it
always
was.
really good at bringing out that. Even if it wasn't like the whole feud was based around that, Jericho's really good at bringing out that personal little dig, that little
Yeah.
jab.
I'm like the biggest fucking Jericho fan on the
I can
planet.
tell you brought him in for PWL.
Are we going full circle?
Yeah, pretty much.
Oh man, but yeah. So those are my three guys I'm bringing in as champion. One thing I would try to do would be to advocate to bring a few more established guys over if I could. More of that NDF 85 hard bargaining.
All right, so let's say you get to bring over one established guy, non-title. Who do you bring over, and do you put them in a feud with one of your champions? You get one more.
All right. Then I'm bringing Brandon Chase's Jericho,
Okay.
and I'm putting him in a feud with Miz to get the
With
show
Miz.
started.
That's a solid world title feud right there, with both of their quality of work.
And the egos.
With Lidl's pushing the pace with the egos, yes, and with I think if Lidl's pushes the pace, that is an amazing feud right there. Not to say that if it's Brandon Chase, right, as
Yeah.
Jericho. I'm not getting my names mixed up. Yeah, not to say that he can't push the pace, but I feel like if Lidl's pushes the pace, it'll push Brandon further.
Yeah.
And that's the only reason I say it. Like, whenever I'm gonna say if I want this person to push the pace, it's more just to make the other person chase harder. It's never
100%.
like, no, you can't push the pace. You're not good enough at it. Like, no, I just want to see you run at that same pace.
Yeah.
Because I know it'll bring out the best in that person.
Yeah. Like we know Lidl's is going to go 100 miles per hour no matter
As
what
soon
you
as he
give
hits
him.
the ground, he's going to be off and running.
Yeah.
That's one of my biggest disappointments this time, is how work killed me and I couldn't have a good threat against them.
Yeah.
Because he gave me a lot of material in that first post, and then his second one, like, he was firing back with zing. I was like, man, this is going to be a slugfest. And unfortunately, I just couldn't find the time and the energy to be able to write.
Yeah. Yeah, he's got that character
I'm
down.
going to get him one day. I'm going to get him. 100%.
Well, who knows, right? I actually
Who
need
you got
to.
in the King of the Ring?
He got
Right now?
he got Matt Hardy.
Yeah?
Karen's drew the short straw again, and he's
Yeah.
up against Lidl's in the first round of the King of the Ring.
Well, who do you think is winning the whole King of the Ring?
Oh fuck!
Like, from your...
Don't ask me that
Obviously, you're
question,
gonna-
man.
Obviously, you're going to say yourself.
Actually, no. Like,
Really? You don't think you can do it?
I think I
Well,
could do it. I do.
You just
But-
don't think you will. Okay, no, I can...
Like, it's like you were saying, right? For me, titles aren't as important as telling the story. And I think that's why you and I get along so much, right?
Yeah.
Like, I
We-
love having titles. I think that it's great to have one. I think it's like, it's a nice sort of reassurance that, like, people like what I'm doing kind of thing.
Yeah. But if
But
we need to take a loss, we're
exactly.
fine taking that loss. Hell, I came back to UWF just to lose originally.
Yeah. And like
My feud with you at uh at Backlash was supposed to be just me laying down on my back, and that was gonna be it for me.
yeah, it was supposed to be a one-off, like, let's
Yeah,
give Triple H a starting rub.
yeah. And then I was like, you know what? I like doing this. I want to actually do this again.
Yeah.
So I not necessarily rescinded my offer to just to go out on my back. I was like, if I lose, I lose, but if I win, I win.
But
And so I was actually happy to lose because I think it works better for the story.
yeah. So like
And that's why we get along so well. I'm like, yeah, no, I lost, but I was happy to lose.
I'm going to put it out there, right? I'm not going to lay down for anyone in this tournament. I'm going to
Just me,
go
because I'm gonna make you.
I'm going to go full bore. I'm going to push on this tournament because I want to see how far I can take Triple H. But I don't think I win it. And the reason why I don't think I win it is because there are really strong, established world title quality guys in that tournament. And there are
Yeah.
also X factors that I'm waiting to see how they play out.
Larry Sweeney's probably one of those X factors for me.
Sweeney is a huge X factor. Anytime Foch is in the mix, he's an X factor. Like he is the fucking like the New England Patriots of
the UWF right
of the
now.
UWF. If
Oh well,
if
it's
he's
a shame that I'm the Philadelphia Eagles to him then, eh?
if he's given her, he's a contender. Like 100%.
Yeah.
Uh, I think Gert could win it.
With Money in the Bank, wow, yeah.
I think he could win both back to back.
Really gives him an edge if he does that too.
Yeah. Personally, I don't know. I don't know how comfortable I would be booking that, but I think he
Yeah.
could. I honestly do think your Brian could win it. Like, if I'm looking at this first round, I see Sweeney, I see Skrull, I see Miz, I see Brian, I see Jacobs. These are guys I could see winning it, right? And that's
Yeah.
not to say that I couldn't see Wyatt pulling off an upset or couldn't see Hardy pulling off an upset here. But the guys who are established or who are big enough X factors, like proven track record, can take a random nobody and win a world title with them, are the guys I named.
Yeah.
And that's on this side of the bracket, right? There's still a whole other side of the bracket.
Yeah, there's still your side of the bracket.
Yeah.
We don't even know what the matchups are yet. We don't even know if the brackets are listed as they are. He could have done 2 from one side and 2 from the other.
Well, that's the thing, right?
We don't know.
Yeah. It's... Yeah, you don't know.
Yeah, we just don't know at this point. I mean, second round could be me versus you if you end up winning. Even though we're on 2 different weeks of the bracket. Like, that doesn't necessarily mean that's the bracket.
So, here's the thing.
Oh boy.
I'm not gonna spoil anything. I do know all of the first round matches. I don't know.
Boy.
I don't know how that shakes out bracket wise, who's on what side, but I know all the matches.
I would think, now if I was Danny and I was doing this, I wouldn't even have a bracket yet. I would just have first round matches, see how they shake out, and form the bracket from there.
Yeah.
Because, as Danny says, every time he does a tournament, it's a blank slate for everybody in that tournament. Like, this is like, past transgressions are forgiven. You know, it's not necessarily like, hey, if you've been super active and great, like I'm forgetting that as well. It's like that's not necessarily gonna give you the edge over somebody else in this instance, is what that's saying. So at this point he basically has no storylines that are either continuing or starting or wrapping up with the tournament. So I would have the first round matches play out, see who wins, and then book the bracket from there. So you can either make new stories, continue old stories, or wrap up old stories.
Yeah.
So like if you win your match and I win my match, you could theoretically do Bryan versus Triple H in round 2 if he doesn't think we'll make it further past any of the other winners. Like, hey, let's get this story match wrapped up so we can move on from this.
Yeah.
But if it was one of those like tournament fields where it was like, you know, let's say it was in the old UWF and it was like you, me, and a bunch of nobodies, you know, like the new guys, the revolving door guys, as we'll call them, then, you know, we would each win our round 1 match and then the bracket would be booked where we would face each other in the finals because that tells the story.
Yeah.
But, you know, that's not a guarantee with this group of people.
Nope.
Not at all.
Now, looking at the 4 matches that haven't been announced yet, I'm not going to say any names because I'm not in the spoiler business.
Oh, man, you're not going to give me those hot scoops?
But I will say there are another conceivable 5, maybe 6 guys that could win the entire thing.
Jeez.
Like, when we were talking about this being the most competitive we've ever seen this Fed, right?
Yeah.
Tournaments are blank slates, like Danny said. And if a guy shows up for the weeks that this tournament is running consistently, every round, he could pull it out, right?
Yeah.
Like, if Skrull shows up consistently and really surprises with his quality, like if he can beat Foch this week,
He can win the whole damn thing.
yeah.
And
Like,
yeah.
when I look at this week, this is the big test for him. If he can jump the Foch hurdle, there's nobody in this tournament that he won't be able to beat if he puts his mind to it.
Then as long as he can keep that momentum going, then he has not just a theoretical, a probable chance of winning the whole damn thing.
Exactly. And
that's
I
not
mean,
to dig at the other guys in the tournament, but like Foch is like when Foch is on, he's the measuring stick, and if you can beat the measuring stick, then who else is going to stop you?
Yeah.
You got to be hungrier than that. You got to be better than that.
Exactly.
I think if Foch loses in the first round, we'll have a very interesting tournament. Not to say if he wins that it won't be interesting, but like if he loses in the first round, it's almost like a bunch of rabid dogs fighting over a steak.
Yeah.
At that point, who's gonna get the biggest bite?
Exactly. And I mean, it's Skrull will be turning heads if he beats Foch in the first round.
Even if he doesn't win the whole thing, that's immediate like main event style feuds and bookings. You know, like look at Jacobs and Steen.
Yeah.
Right? That was a non-title big Mania match. And that's the kind of booking that you can get from that moving forward.
Yeah. Like when you look at Jacobs and Steen, that was like Undertaker in his prime level Mania match.
Yeah. That was Undertaker Shawn style.
Yeah.
With like the build up to that and the actual match itself delivering on that.
Like that was built up to be
that was a world title match. That was a world title match.
Yeah, it was.
I'll just come right out and say it was a world title feud. It was a world title story. It was a world title match.
Without the world title.
Without the world title. So that's why Jacobs theoretically can and I won't say should win the whole thing, but it's possible.
He is
deserved
at this very early phase before any of the matches are decided and before half of them have been publicly announced. He is a favorite.
It's only because I can only do 1, 2, 2, but fine. I'm kidding. No, yeah, he's been killing it for sure. And like winning Money in the Bank just shows you like, yeah, he is on the cusp of the main event scene. And if he can run through this gauntlet, then who's gonna stop him?
Yeah.
I think that's the biggest thing. Like, if he wins King of the Ring, that's such a big character wrinkle to add to that, because it's like, he wins King of the Ring, that means there's no contenders to him. So when he does win the world title, whether it's by hook with winning the title at with the King of the Ring title shot, or by crook cashing in immediately after losing and a beatdown, no one else can touch him at that point because he's already run through everybody.
Yeah, so here's the thing, right? Like, if he wins the King of the Ring, would you not see it being perfectly in character? I don't want to steal a potential moment of like huge impact from him, but I could see it being perfectly in character for Jacobs to come out for his King of the Ring title shot, using the fucking screwdriver on the guy, losing that match by disqualification, and then cashing in his briefcase and winning the
On a
title
dead
on a
guy,
mutilated guy.
Yeah, I can see that.
And that would be like the biggest Jacobs brutal heel move.
But I can also see him not wanting to go that route. And, like,
Yeah.
with the idea of, look, I've already run through the gauntlet. If I can legitimately beat this champion, who can stop me?
Yeah.
I have a second world title reign in my hands for a year. Like, you have to beat him 3 times.
Yeah.
It's not just like one time, because every single pay-per-view he could just message Dana like, if I lose, I'm cashing in. If I lose, I'm cashing in. If I lose, I'm cashing in. Every single week, just send that message. If I lose, I'm cashing in. Like,
Yeah.
2 title reigns in one night.
It's a fucking insurance clause.
Like, you gotta beat him like 3 times essentially. It's like ridiculous.
Yeah.
But you know, that's if he manages to run that gauntlet, because this is a brutal gauntlet to run.
I mean, it's stacked, right? Just look at the guys you've already seen. It's stacked.
Yeah, the matches that are on one side are stacked and could be a semi-final round. You know, Foch versus Skrull, me versus Wyatt, Lidl's versus God, I can't even remember all the matches right now off the top
Hardy.
of my head. Hardy, yeah. I gotta bring up the site now. And there's one more. I feel bad that I'm forgetting. It's Sin Cara versus Jimmy Jacobs. Chase against Gert. Like, come on. Like, that's stacked. And if people don't remember that Chase has been a brutal world champion in the past, then, like, they're probably a little complacent with his Sin Cara, but, like, he's brutal
Well,
as a world champion.
let's not mince words. Before Foch, Chase was the longest reigning world champion in UWF history.
Deservedly so.
Yeah.
As much as I said that Graves should have won the title off his Mysterio, that doesn't mean that I think his Mysterio was weak in any way, shape, or form. I just thought storyline-wise it made more sense for Graves to get one earlier.
Yeah. The crazy thing about his Mysterio was he was constantly adding to it, constantly reinventing it.
Yeah.
And he's doing that with Sin Cara too, and with Titus Worldwide. He's constantly building on this idea now.
Yeah.
Like he's brought in Apollo Crews. He's doing this weird like I don't even know how to describe.
Oh my God, he's doing the Hunico.
Yeah.
Not the Hunico, the homicide gimmick as Sin. Like,
yeah.
This honestly, he should win a world title just for the storyline consistency of this. So let's go over it real quick, and we'll probably wrap up a little bit after this. So he had Rey Mysterio, and he had Rey Mysterio, Sin Cara, and Homicide. This is where I get some of my storyline ideas from. Is from a little wrinkle from his character development with this, is that Rey Mysterio had Sin Cara and Homicide tied to his contract, so they only had jobs because Rey had a job. Like, they weren't 3 different contracts, they were essentially like one contract. And so I get a lot of my storyline ideas from that little wrinkle. I don't know if that's 100% accurate, but that's how I always perceived it. So Rey was trying to train Sin Cara and Homicide to be superheroes. The Uber baby face, flying through the sky, things like that, like helping people in need, like white meat baby face Superman, yeah. So he was trying to train them to be superheroes. Homicide was heel with two faces. And he was heel by picking on Sin Cara all the time because Sin Cara would basically just like point and say like one word in all of his promos.
Yep.
He was like, Mystico, you idiot. I always read it as Ren and Stimpy. Mystico, you idiot. And like that's how I always read his Homicide. And I thought it was the greatest thing. And now, and then Rey Mysterio joins the cartel and turns heel by doing nothing different. He did nothing different.
Yeah.
Rey was just heel then.
He was a heel who was delusional, thinking he was still a superhero that people
Yeah,
loved.
but he was the exact same character. He just aligned himself with heels, and all of a sudden he was a bad guy. Sin Cara was the exact same. Homicide was the exact same. Rey Mysterio the exact same. They were just all like Homicide was always a heel, but now he was with more heels. And now he brings in Sin Cara and finishes the character development by having Sin Cara become Homicide now. With this gimmick is beautiful, and I love it. And I have no idea if that's what he's legitimately going for, but I like how the continuity wraps up with that. Like the in my mind, the way this plays out is if he wins this whole tournament as Sin Cara, he has to become Rey. Not like literally become Rey Mysterio, but like become what Rey was for him. Realize that I'm becoming what I hated before. I need to be what I was trained to be now, and like then bring on get Apollo Crews a mask and train him to be a superhero or something like that.
Yeah.
Like that's a little storyline right I can see with that, and the fact that with like every single person in the tournament, you can come up with a storyline arc for their path through the tournament is amazing.
Yeah, I agree. Some of them are like more ready made than others,
Yeah,
but they're all
so
there.
they're all right there, and it just depends on who wins.
Yep.
So what? So final little bit. What do you name your titles for your brand?
Oh boy.
Because like I know what I would name my world title, 100%. Because I love the name. I would go with the UWF Global Championship because I
You
love
would,
that name.
yeah.
I'd bring back the global. It would be the winged eagle from the WWF with the globe on it. It'd be perfect.
I would be I would bring in I would bring the international championship back.
You bring the international championship back. You go with that history. I like
Yeah,
that.
just
It's a nice little nod.
I mean, I Thunder was as much as I fucked it up. Thunder was an important part of my UWF experience.
Yeah.
And for the graphic, I'd go with the big gold.
Ooh, the big gold. Okay, yeah, I like the big gold. Big gold works. What's
Um,
your
my
other
mid-tier
two?
title. See, this is where it gets tricky for me.
Yeah, because you can go simple, just like United States.
But like, here's the thing. I really, really do not like the United States Championship.
Okay.
Um, the reason why I don't like the United States Championship is I associate it very strongly with Hoof
Yeah, I
and
can see that
SmackDown and
leaving a
just
sour taste in anyone's mouth.
like I uh I don't hate Hoof, but I don't like him.
Yeah,
Anyway,
I was lucky to not have too much interactions with him to be like I'm full on hate, but like I get it.
yeah. So for me, with the United States Championship out, you got to start kicking around different names, right?
Yeah.
European is usually a safe one to go with.
And it's funny that it was historically a tertiary title that we have elevated to a secondary title, essentially.
Yeah. I mean, it's that's definitely one that I would
I think
consider.
X Division could be a good secondary title too.
It could, but then like you're almost going full Thunder throwback, right?
Yeah, that's true. I mean, if we want to go full Thunder throwback, then bring in the Canadian Championship. I don't even know if you were around for that.
I wasn't. That was before my time.
Oh! It's what the X Division title was originally. The X Division title became the Canadian title became the X Division title because it happened during Neville's reign with it. Fun fact. There you go. Got a
So
little history for you.
maybe I would make my mid-tier title a gimmick title,
Okay. I am all ears.
and I would make it the Lucha Underground Gift of the Gods title.
Ooh, okay. So for those that don't watch Lucha Underground, would it still have the Lucha Underground gimmick, or would it just be called that?
Oh, it would 100% be the Lucha Underground gimmick too.
So
So
what is the
it's
Lucha Underground gimmick?
it's essentially a Money in the Bank briefcase, but
Oh,
in a
okay.
title. So the person who wins the Gift of the Gods title has the Money in the Bank briefcase power, where he
Oh,
can
so it's like
just
option C or whatever the X Division title has in TNA when they decide it has it.
yeah. But they have to cash it in 1 week before the actual match.
Okay, that makes sense.
So it's like Danny's Money in the Bank from NXT, where Rhino won it, but he had to give the month's notice that he was
Oh
cashing in the
yeah,
contract.
and he knocked Steen out. Did he stab his hand
Yeah, I
or
think
something?
he
And
like
then made him sign it in blood.
yeah,
Great segment, amazing segment.
it was an
Um,
incredible segment. And I think having that as your second tier title is also a really interesting thing, because essentially what it's saying is
you're setting
this
it up the
guy,
way the old Intercontinental title worked in the original WWF, where it was essentially your breaking the glass ceiling moment. You win this title, after you lose it, then you essentially get a shot at the world title seed.
yeah. So I guess that would mean that I would have a main title. I would have the Gift of the Gods title, which is like, you know, guy holds it until he cashes it in, right?
Yeah.
So he's basically like, this is the guy I'm building up to the main event scene. And then my what would be called the tertiary title would actually be my second tier title.
Yeah. Yeah. So you could like have that be the European title, so it still has the secondary quality to it, but the tertiary name.
Yeah.
But what are your thoughts on that then?
Yeah, that I mean that's pretty consistent with what I was thinking.
It's uncanny how we're pretty much on the same page with a lot of things. It's like we wrote a show together or something. Hey, I'm just glad to be part of a King of the Ring that's not just gonna stop. Like
Yeah.
the last one we tried the book.
Yeah.
So, so on PWL, I won the world title. Going back to PWL to wrap things up to go a little full circle. So Owen Hart win the world title, right? And I think I lost a lot of my matches leading up to that, but like the promos led to me being booked in the main event regardless. So I win that match because it's a ladder match, and then we're like, the owner leaves. We basically take control of the ship, and we're like, okay, we need contenders for titles. So I busted out my usual gimmick of let's hold a tournament, and then we can decide contenders for all three titles through this tournament. Meaning, you get the first round people that get eliminated, they're like out of it, whatever. I think we put them on like a battle royal or something to
Yeah,
determine
something
the
like that.
TV title, and then I think we had like our top three, like the second, third, and fourth place people in like a triple threat to decide the secondary title, and then the winner of the whole thing was the number one contender for the world title. Because I love tournaments like that. I love tournaments where like even the losers have a chance at something else.
Yeah.
Because then you can do all your booking in one thing. You can focus on that, make sure you're telling good stories with that, and like really make sure it's a good, well written, and well fleshed out tournament with little caveats here and there. But we didn't get through that whole tournament before we decided the site needed to be shut down because no one cared.
Yeah. That's ultimately what it boiled down to, too. Like, the only people with enthusiasm who were left were like you and I and one other guy, I think, or two other guys.
It was me and you, and then it was a few of like the lower tier writers because they were active. They were the Jimmy Usos. They were active, but they weren't good.
Yeah.
But they were really good at the game,
Yeah.
and it was just like one of those things where I was like, "Is this fun anymore? No. All right, bye."
Yeah. The only thing I wish is we could have brought over like the two or three other strong writers to the UWF.
Oh my! If we could have brought over the Ambush from that site, Dull Chameleon.
Yeah.
That was his name.
And there was a guy over there too who was playing a character. I think the his name on the site was Manic.
Oh God, yeah, 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 yeah,
He
yeah,
was pretty
Manic.
solid too.
He was. I'm gonna look up his name if you want to keep talking about him. I have the site open. I've had the site open this whole time.
Oh man. Yeah, he was.
Oh, keep going. Sorry, I started to pause. Like, oh no.
If I remember correctly, he was playing like a punk kind of guy,
Yeah, he had like a
like a
big
fringe
red
character.
mohawk.
Yeah, big red mohawk. But like he wrote pretty well for what it was. Like he was writing pretty solid stuff.
Yeah, for sure.
And the reason why I remember him is because I spent a lot of time feuding with him.
Oh my God. So, his name on the site was Merciless Earth, right?
Yeah.
I found his promo, and we're gonna. This is actually gonna wrap all this back up. The first pay per view promo that I found for the whole site. So a promo that happened after a pay per view match to sort of like set the storyline after the match and things like that was written by him, and it was called King Nothing. I'm not making this up. 100% accurate.
Oh my god.
I'm like, like, I I need to show this. I need to show this.
So this is the point where I confess to gimmick infringement.
Yeah, like look, like right there, King Nothing,
I
right at the
didn't.
top.
I haven't hit that site in years.
I bring it up every so often, but yeah, King Nothing, right there, outstanding. I can't believe that it wrapped itself up like that.
That's crazy, man.
Well, Crann, I said we were gonna go for 30 minutes. It has been over 2 hours. um, but we get sidetracked it, and we're two really good friends, I would say.
I would agree.
You've been a major part of my development as a writer, as a person, and in my enjoyment of EFETs. So when I was going to do this, there was no doubt in my mind that it would ever be anybody else but you.
Well, thanks.
So throughout all the history that we have, from the PWL to the original UWF to the current UWF, thank you. It's always been fun. Despite us having our first feud ever recently, it's been a blast. And I look forward to more time spent with you and against you moving forward. If you guys liked this little podcast, let me know. I'm gonna be posting this to the site. You can let me know on YouTube. You can let me know on the site itself or on Discord. You all know where to reach me. Look forward to some more of these. I'll probably start reaching out to see if anybody else wants to do these. Again, these are pretty freeform. I only had a couple questions in mind for Crann, and then I was just gonna go from there just to see where life took us, and it took us to a lot of places. And I don't think there's much else I have for you other than when are we gonna feud again?
I lost you, man.
Oh no, you missed a lot of that. No, I was just wrapping up. My last question was, when are we gonna feud again?
When are we gonna feud again?
Again,
Are we done?
are we done?
I don't know, man.
I mean, I feel like we're pretty done, but who knows? This is going up before the next episode of UWF, so we doing hot takes here.
I mean, I'm playing a guy who's known as the Cerebral Assassin.
And I'm playing a guy who doesn't take kindly to losing.
I'm just saying.
I'm thinking we're not done.
I'm thinking we're not done too, but we'll see, right? We'll see
We'll
what.
see, yeah. I mean, we got a whole
what
tournament
happens.
ahead of us.
Yeah.
Like, that kind of threw me for a loop because I was like, man, I got all these storyline ideas. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. I was talking with Gert about some things because, like, hey, I was thinking of doing some of these things. He's like, yeah, you should do this. I think you could take it in this direction. It's like, tournament, like, well, let's put all that on the back burner. Let's see if I can win my current iteration. And then if I need to add any wrinkles, then I can go from there. And I think let's leave with a little bit of advice for some of the new guys, because we see a lot of new guys, and they come in and they might not win immediately, and they're immediately changing things, and it's like let's pump the brakes a little bit. Losing doesn't necessarily mean you're doing something wrong. It just means someone else is doing something right.
Yeah.
They're doing something better.
And
It doesn't mean you need to throw water on a fire that's non-existent.
yeah, and especially in this iteration of the UWF, which we've said multiple times is like the strongest crop we've ever seen. Like dropping a match, especially if it's one of your first matches,
Or even
isn't
a
as
recent
big a deal.
match.
Even a recent match, like it isn't as big a deal as people might think.
In the past, it meant, like you weren't that strong of a character. Depending on the people you were facing. Well, like dropping a match could mean like, okay, I'm doing something wrong. I'm not quite there. I need to figure something out. Here, it doesn't mean that anymore. It's a lot harder to figure out when a character's done.
Yeah.
And I think we need to make sure that, obviously if you're not feeling your character, you're not feeling your character. But I feel like with the current group that we have, that we could keep the same exact roster for 3 more months and still get a lot out of each individual character for the next 3 months before someone would have to swap out to freshen things up.
Yeah.
So, like, that's my little bit of advice to everyone listening to this. Like, if you're not feeling your character, you're not feeling your character. Reach out to somebody. Reach out to somebody you feud it with. Reach out to one of the writers. Reach out to just some random guy on the site and just be like, hey, check my TT. What advice do you have for me? What do you like? What do you not like? Like, we're all here to have fun.
Yeah.
We're here to become better writers, too.
Yeah.
So, like, you can reach out to me. You can reach out to Crann. You can reach out to, like, Lidls even. People like that. Like, this is not only the most competitive group we've ever had, but I think it's also the most helpful group we've ever had.
I would agree. And I mean, like, we've got guys bringing in guys now. Like,
this is the most active I've seen recruiting, too.
Yeah. Like, I'm seeing guys coming in who are coming in at, like, title holder level already.
Yeah.
And
like, they're like, LOL, I've never done this before. I'm like, really? Really?
Yeah. So, I mean, the best way to improve is to look at the stuff you're putting out, look at the stuff the guys you're TTing against are putting out, look at the stuff the champions are putting out, talk to the champions, talk to the veterans, talk to new guys who are doing well. Just ask them questions, ask them how they approach TTing, right?
Even if it's just like, hey, I wrote this promo for the show. Can you take a look at it and give me your thoughts?
Yeah.
I've done that with Lidls. Lidls has given me promos when he was getting started with like the hired guns. I helped him pick the hired guns. He gave me a bunch of people. He's like, I'm thinking of like all these people to bring in as a tag team for the Miz, and I'm like, Billy Gunn and Billy Kidman, the Billies. 100%. I was like, either Chris Masters because I love Chris Masters, or Gunn and Kidman, and he's brought in Gunn and Kidman.
Yeah. And I mean, it's been a great inclusion to the roster, too.
Yeah.
And
So like
another thing,
oh,
also look at what we have already and like the people, the cast we've already got, what people are doing.
and the types of characters they are, not necessarily face heel, but like the type of heel, the type of face.
Yeah. And then think about what might be missing that you can fill in.
And get there. Don't
Yeah.
just be that. Get there.
Exactly.
Because if you can tell, like, here's something that Danny appreciates. Danny appreciates a great story. If you can, like, give yourself your own character arc on your own, be consistent with it, be hungry with it, you'll start to get opportunities from there. Just like, hey, I saw what you were doing, like, on your own. Like, here's a match. Hey, you win that match, and you keep moving forward.
Yeah. I mean, Danny appreciates it because Danny's been there. Like,
Yeah.
Danny basically booked his own 1% on SmackDown for a long time.
Yep.
He was writing backstage segments because Hoove never gave him matches to TT for. Like, he basically wrote his own story on SmackDown.
100%.
And if, like, he loves to see that shit from other people. He loves to see that drive. He loves to see that effort. And that's not to say he's not going to book you. He will. If he sees that drive and effort, he'll make sure that he features you even.
But like going a that little bit above and beyond with your own story makes it a little bit easier for him to see who he can give the torch to run with.
Exactly.
So that's our little bit of advice as a couple of, you know, grizzled veterans. I said that because I was looking at your picture. I saw the bear.
Well, I am. I mean, I'm to steal another, to commit some more copyright infringement.
I mean, we're on the Chillin' with Ace podcast. Let's just gimmick and.
We're on the
all
Chillin'
that.
with Ace podcast. We just found out about where I got King Nothing from. Here we go. More gimmick infringement. And I'm sorry, Drez. I'm not a grizzled veteran, but I play one on the internet.
Oh my god. Oh, I like Drez though. I don't want to steal from Drez. It's weird. It's weird now that we're in the same category as Drez as like veterans on the site.
Yeah.
Like, that gets me. I'm like, man, I don't put myself in the same league as Drez, but like we're some of those veterans that like people will come to now. So come to us. I need to rephrase that. Come towards us with ideas. That's even worse. Talk to us. Yeah. You know
Yeah.
where to find us. I'm usually on Discord. If I'm not on the site, you can send me messages on the site on Discord. Reach out to us however you want. I might not be able to immediately read stuff that you send if I'm at work, but I'll typically read the messages and then I'll put a pin in it and be able to come back and give it a good read, give ideas. I love giving ideas. I'm an idea guy.
He really is an idea guy.
Yeah, that's what I try to do. I mean, to your point, I'm one of those people that can probably take anybody to a world title like Sam did.
Yeah.
You name a wrestler, I'll come up with a gimmick for them, and they'll be top level.
Well, I mean,
pretty quick.
fuck, man. How many times did I stall on Lashley and get frustrated and come to you and be like, dude, help me out?
You should do this. I didn't come up with MVP though. That was all you.
Well, I mean, technically that was all TNA.
This is also true. This is also true.
More gimmick infringement. I just.
To be fair, Owen Hart was just Bray Wyatt. Let's be fair. My original Owen Hart was just Bray Wyatt, but not Bray Wyatt. Not even not the PWL one, like the original. What was it called? WCF, World Championship Federation, I think it was. Yeah, I think that's what it was. Yeah, that was just Bray Wyatt. I was like, I like Bray Wyatt. I'm liking what I'm seeing on the screen here, because this is when he was still doing promos before he debuted. I was like, I like this. I want to write this, but I want to write it different. I don't want it to be all weird, cryptic prose. I want it to have like a purpose. I was like, Owen Hart. There we go. I made it work. Fun fact, the first character I ever... This is why I have such a soft spot for Ziggler. I think I said this already. Ziggler was the first character I played, so that's why I have such a big soft spot when I saw you bring in Ziggler. I, like, popped big for it. I was like, oh man, he's bringing in Ziggler? Yeah! So I think that's all we've got before we just rattle on for another 2.5 hours.
Yeah.
Like I said, drop us lines. Not Wall Street Warrior lines, though.
No. You don't want to mess with that shit, man. Next thing you
know,
know, you'll be painting your face.
green and losing all your matches.
Yeah, and beating people up at random in promos because you can't do it on the Xbox games.
Yeah, I remember that, yeah. Oh, man. But thank you for listening. Sorry for taking up so much of your time. Hopefully you enjoyed this, and hopefully we'll see you again soon with another episode. Let me know if you'd like to see me do these with anyone else, or reach out if you would like to be a part of this yourselves. But Crann, do you have any last second things you want to plug, or last words of goodbyes?
If you haven't given it a read yet, check out Backlash. It was a solid pay-per-view.
So good.
And yeah, just keep on trucking. I mean, we're headed full tilt toward the next pay-per-view now. It's not too late to sign up if you're a new guy. Definitely jump into the mix. It's good times.
Yeah, if you stumble upon this, I'll probably put the description of I'll probably put the link to the website in here too, just in case any of you stumble upon this on YouTube and are like, man, this place sounds like fun. It is so much fun. Join the revolution. Oh God, I came up with a tagline. All right, and I think with that little bit of last second shilling, we are gonna be out of here. Thank you so much for your time. Have a wonderful rest of your nights.
Peace.